Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Scott Norton, and you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be reviewing nights 11 through 14 of the G1 Climax, answering your questions, and covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing to the Social Suplex Podcast Network on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. This episode of Keeping It Strong Style is brought to you by Powerslam TV. Powerslam TV is an independent wrestling service with over 5,000 hours of wrestling from companies across the world. Use the promo code SOCIALSUPLEX to get your first month free. Make sure you check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, ProWrestlingTees.com/SocialSuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt as well as t-shirts from other shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Young boy, we are getting ready. We're almost on the closing stretch of the G1.
You forgot our other official sponsor, sir.
Who was that?
This show is brought to you by White Claw. Because when you're with the Claw, there is no law. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Is that the slogan? How's the slogan go?
Honestly, I don't know. I've seen some people tweet that. I don't know if that's like an official thing. So yes, if you heard that can snap in the middle of my intro, that was a White Claw.
Well, we have to support our sponsors, man.
I didn't realize White Claws were cutting the checks.
Oh yes, they absolutely are. I brokered a back deal you don't know about. It's on the side. It's in the name of Young Boy, but never mind about that right now.
Let's get that direct deposit rolling over in the Social Suplex account.
It's under the table. It's complete cash. It's not cash. They pay me in White Claws. It's literally just a White Claw. Like, they just give me alcohol is what it is. It's great. Super hydrating. It's good for you. Here's what I want to know. It's been about a week now. I've been rocking these freaking Brian Alvarez headbands, and you haven't said shit about it.
I didn't realize I was supposed to comment on it.
Come on, man. You're supposed to support me.
I think it needs a Keeping It Strong Style logo in the middle.
Oh my god, we can sell those, bro. We're who's the head guy over at Stardom, the president?
Oh, Rossi Ogawa.
We need to get our Rossi Ogawa on and just pimp the shit out of everything that we can. Like, everything we do on Keeping It Strong Style is a money grab. Like, we literally are just trying to sell shirts. That's the whole point. We're not passionate about, like, Japanese pro wrestling. Like, none of it.
We'll become a t-shirt company, and then we'll start a wrestling promotion.
And then we'll sell out that giant building in D.C. in, like, 15 minutes. It'll be great. We'll get a TNT deal. Be awesome.
All right. Well,
I hear being in the t-shirt business is very lucrative. Apparently.
Yeah, it's working well for that other t-shirt company.
Yeah. Although it hasn't been working out so well for WWE. What's up with them? They're not selling as many T-shirts. I guess it's because they're focusing too much on the wrestling.
Yeah.
Because they always focus too much on the
They're
wrestling.
putting on some great stories right
That's
now.
their problem. They focus too much on the in-ring work. They need to focus more on the outside stuff like T-shirts and gimmicks and, that's what happens when you just have like a, that fucking grapple fuck type of shit that WWE does. They need to, gimmick it up a bit more. Be good.
Yeah, well, enough talking about New York. Let's talk about Japan.
Junior's Pure Wrestling.
We got 4 nights of the G1 to cover. Let's waste no more time. Dive in and start talking about these shows. So we had the first show, Night 11, A block action. Kicked off with Kota Ibushi defeating Bad Luck Fale at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think about this one?
You want to know something funny? I watched this. I don't remember.
Well, I mean, there really wasn't much to remember. It was a...
Oh, you know what? You know why? Because this is the show where I missed a couple matches, so I actually don't remember this. So I'm completely caught up on everything else except for Night 11. That was the one night this week where... So tell us about Kota Ibushi and Bad Luck Fale. I
mean, pretty much it was, Bad Luck Fale and the Bullet Club doing the Bullet Club gimmicks. You have, Chase Owens on the outside getting cheap shots, and Master Heater Jado out there with the kendo stick. There was one point where he hit Ibushi with the kendo stick, and Ibushi got hit with the grenade. But Ibushi ended up countering the Bad Luck Fall. Got Fale in a crucifix for a near fall, and then hit the Bomaye and the Kamagoye to put Fale out.
So was there a lot of shenanigans this match or not really?
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans. Constant interference from Jado and Chase. But, I mean, Ibushi did a great job, like usual, selling, just looking like Fale was killing him. But essentially, it's pretty much a night off for Ibushi. Fale just continues to be Fale and racking up the 2-star specials here in this tournament.
Fale gonna Fale.
Yeah. So then up next we had Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. I thought this was a really great match. Full of great counters. It's not often you get to see Will Ospreay do a lot of mat wrestling, and he's said in interviews in the past before he knows how to do that style, but it's not the style he likes to do. Obviously, he loves doing the more high flying, and recently he's been adapting some of the strong style into his matches. But in this match here, we got to see a lot of the technical stuff that Ospreay can do, and kind of going hold for hold for Sabre in this match. Sabre working over the injured neck of Ospreay and focusing a lot of his submissions there.
Yeah, this was a match that I didn't see, but like I've said on previous podcasts, I'm familiar with their series of matches, and from what I read I've read like a lot of like kind of conflicting reviews. Like some people love this match, and some people are just kind of mild on it.
Yeah, I went 4 1/4 on it.
So you're pretty high on it.
Yeah, it wasn't the best Sabre Ospreay match. They've had better matches, but I still thought this was a pretty good match. I mean, anything above 4 stars, it's definitely worth a watch and recommended. And
I literally saw people who were like, "This is my match at the tournament."
Yeah, for me, I've been seeing people's match of the tournaments range from all kinds of stuff, but personally for me, it's not my match of the tournament. But I still thought it was a very great match. Sabre and Ospreay are 2 excellent wrestlers, and they put on an excellent wrestling match. I feel maybe if they were in the main event and maybe had a little bit more. Well, actually, they had 20 minutes. Maybe if they were in the main event, maybe they would have turned up a little bit. But I still thought it was great, and it wasn't their best match. I think they have better in them. But overall, told a great story of Ospreay kind of keeping up with Sabre in his submissions, and kind of mixing in the high flying in between.
Yeah, from what I understand, Will was pretty much like grappling with him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting because I've seen them wrestle before. I've seen him do some grappling with him, but, there's always been that kind of like dichotomy between their 2 different styles. Whereas on this night, it looks like from what I've read and what I understand, like it seemed like essentially that Will Ospreay had a goal in mind to go out there and show to the world like how great a pro wrestler he actually is when it comes to like the technical side of things and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any promos with him saying that, but that kind of felt like that was the story of the match. Yeah. You know, and both these guys, they know each other so well. They wrestled each other, I'm sure, numerous times before, and a lot of great counters out of their big moves. But I really love the finish here with Ospreay attempting to go for the Stormbreaker, but Sabre kind of fighting out, getting in the octopus hole and dragging Ospreay down to the mat and forcing Ospreay to tap out to the octopus hold.
Yeah, I haven't seen this yet. From what few people have told me, they said that this is like my style pro wrestling. So it's definitely one I need to go back and check out. I mean, did you feel like Zach hampered Will and kind of made Will like, you know, wrestle his kind of stalling type of wrestling, and that kind of lowered the quality of the match? Or do you think that the way they had like chemistry, you know what I mean, and like it was entertaining enough?
I think they had chemistry and it was very entertaining. I mean, I went 4 1/4 on it. I probably would have gone higher if the pace was a little bit faster, or even if the match was a little bit shorter. You know, we've been talking, you know, for me, a lot of these 12 to 15 minute matches in tournaments that have a high speed have been bangers to me, and I've been enjoying a lot of like the 12 to 15 minute matches a little bit more than say your 20 to 30 minute matches.
So basically you're saying that we're going to end up giving the MVP of the tournament to Lance Archer then, is basically what you're saying.
Not quite what I'm saying, but I don't know, it's this tournament, I just feel like, you know, those 15 minute matches seem to be the sweet spot for some of these bangers that are happening here in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't have a full formed opinion on this, but from everything I've heard, I think I really want to see this match for sure, so it's something I need to catch this week.
Yeah, it's definitely a worth a watch from this show. Then next we had the American Psycho Lance Archer taking on the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. Okada defeating Archer at 14 minutes and 25 seconds. I love this match. Another match I thought was great. I went 4 1/4 on this also. This man Archer just continues to bust stuff out, and just we've been saying it every week now, just harping on just how great Archer has been in this whole tournament. And this was a match where freaking Archer has the old school and does a moonsault all out of the old school onto Okada.
Yeah, I did see that gif, that's pretty incredible.
And, you know, Archer just being total big monster here, making Okada fight from behind, just, you know, hitting all the signatures, hitting the derailleur, the choke slam, all that stuff on Okada. Okada having to be in that valiant babyface, that underdog, which we normally don't always see him in, and kind of fighting back against the bigger, dominant Lance Archer here. But eventually, towards the end, you know, Archer was going for that EBD claw, but Okada ended up reversing it into the Rainmaker and getting the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, my dog Lance Archer carrying that bum Okada to a passable match. No, but in all seriousness, like Archer, he put out a post or like a tweet during this tournament, was like, you know, I'm taking outside bookings, and you know, I'm just wondering, like, when's this man gonna get announced for Bola? That's what I want to know. Yeah. And when's he gonna go to Spain to fight the A-Kid? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 more entries left to be announced for Bola. I'm definitely on the train of wanting to see Lance Archer on that. So yeah, Archer was looking great in this match. He hit a Rainmaker of his own at one point, and yeah, I popped huge for that moonsault off the old school, and Archer just continuing to impress here.
Yeah, and then that other guy Okada, he was okay. Oh, he's only like the best wrestler in the world.
Then we had Sonata defeating Kenta at 16 minutes and 50 seconds. This was a pretty good match. I ended up going 3.75 on it. I don't know. There's something about it. I just feel like it kind of lacked some drama from the match, and I don't know if that's just part of like the New Japan fans not really, really reacting to Kenta. You know, some cities he's getting booed, and some cities he's not really getting much reaction at all. The crowd was kind of firmly behind Sonata in this match, and really wanted Sonata to win here.
What do you think the deal is? I mean, so Kenta's story is pretty compelling in this tournament. I mean, we saw him go on literally a very, very dominant, run. He runs into Okada. He takes his first loss, and then it's been, nothing but losses since then, almost feels like.
Yeah.
What do you think that story is, and like, what do you think psychologically is happening there?
I think maybe that's one of those things where, like, I guess maybe storyline wise, he got that one loss, and maybe that kind of shook his confidence, and
He like never rebounded from it.
yeah.
Like, because I kind of expect. I mean, again, it's the G1. Anyone could be anybody, but I was thinking Sonata would definitely be one of the guys Kenta would get past, and good on them for giving more points to Sonata, but you've got a guy at 8 points and a guy at 2 points. And, it kind of feels like Sonata winning is almost like one of those things where they just got to balance the sheets at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think plus two, what, Sonata's path in this tournament, what was going to come for his next matchup and probably his future in the company.
His challenge against
Okada. They kind of needed him to get the win here.
To build up his confidence and kind of streak him a little bit. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So then we have a question here. Forgot to write down who it was from. It says, what is your take on the negative reaction towards Kenta from some of the Japanese fans on Twitter? Do you think this is common enough to be a synopsis of the fans' attitude towards Kenta in Japan, or is it possibly a vocal minority? Why do they dislike Kenta versus some of the other Noah wrestlers such as Suzuki, Kanemaru, Ishimori, Nagata, Nakajima, and Marufuji?
You know what's funny about that is those are all great talking points, and it's nothing that they've mentioned or anything that I think we could speak with any real authority on, or at least not. I know I can't. I've had those very same thoughts. I've thought, is this a consensus? Is this a minor, a minority that's very vocal? And why is it that they are kind of rejecting Kenta when so many other Noah wrestlers have been there so many different times, and it doesn't seem like anyone has had the same kind of visceral rejection that Kenta has received? I'll tell you what, one thing for me, I think one reason why there might be that rejection of Kenta is that he's been brought into a very prominent role in the company right off the bat, with like nothing behind it to prove himself. Like, he walks in, he hasn't been to Japan in years. He was in WWE for all that time and didn't have a great run. And then he's like, I'm Kenta, I'm in the G1, and I'm going to go 5-0 on you boys. And everyone's like, damn it. I feel like that's where the hatred is coming from. And the thing is, at the time when he was streaking, him winning the G1 was definitely a potential that you could actually see happening. And other guys who've come from Noah who've been in the G1, most of them have been freelancers and outsiders who you knew for a fact were not going to win. So it's not like that anger or that negativity was attached to them. And I think maybe, I'm just speculating, maybe what happened with Kenta was he did too well too fast as far as the booking's concerned. Also, the style difference. Maybe New Japan fans don't like the striking style that he's been bringing to the table. And that coupled with a few other different things, and then, he kind of got, that negativity against him. And then even now, when it looks like his chances of winning are greatly diminished, or if non-existent, it's too late. They've already, latched onto that narrative, and maybe they don't like him.
Do you think it has anything to do with him leaving Japan in general?
Could be.
Because I feel like, a lot of these names, and this was from Reddit user Asahi Ojimbo, a lot of the names that he mentioned, I feel, are guys that kind of stayed in Japan for the most part, even though they might have bounced promotions.
What were some of those names?
He said Suzuki, Kanemaru, Ishimori, Nagata, Nakajima, and Marufuji.
Yeah.
Most of those guys, stayed in Japan and kind of made their names in Japan, never really left on a long break like Kenta did.
The only one who seemed like he was going to out of that group was Ishimori.
Right, doing the Impact stuff.
Yeah, and at one point it seemed like he might have had aspirations to maybe go to WWE or something like that, but he didn't. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Like, he went to America. I don't know. I think a lot of what we're saying is maybe rooted in truth, but it's also speculation. Like, I don't know what the fans feel about him. All I can really go off is what we've seen on Twitter and what we've seen in the actual arenas. Some arenas are definitely booing him, and some arenas are indifferent. Some are, like the Osaka crowd, seem to actually be pro Kenta.
Yeah.
Which, that kind of makes sense because they're the opposite of Tokyo. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
One thing we do know is that, and this isn't just related to New Japan, but like Twitter interactions, usually when you see a group of people that, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like, I don't want to misquote, but it's like less than 10% of the people that are speaking and like less than 10% of contributors do about 90% of the contributing on Twitter. That means like it's always usually some sort of minority that's doing most of
a vocal minority, yeah.
It just in general, like there's way more people on Twitter that are not speaking than the people that are speaking. The people that create most of the content are a small minority of the people that are even signed up for the service. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I mean, you take that and you divide it by like wrestling, divide it by New Japan, divide it by a country. You kind of go niche for niche for niche for niche. There's a good possibility that you are dealing with, you know, some sort of minority. It's possible. I'm not saying it's true, but that's definitely logically speaking, it's possible.
Yeah. So that brings us to the main event of Night 11. It was the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, taking on the King of Darkness, Evil. We had the Ace defeating Evil at 22 minutes and 58 seconds. I went 4 stars flat on this match. To me, it started off kind of slow and kind of plodding a little bit. But then towards the middle part of the match, it really picked up. And there was just a lot of great counters and a lot of back and forth between Tanahashi and Evil. Tanahashi going for the high fly flow at one point in the match, but it gets caught with Evil's knees. Evil gets a great near fall there. Evil showing a lot of great fire towards the end here. You know, great looking lariats, looking for the everything is Evil. Great headbutt on Tanahashi. Tanahashi eventually hits Evil for Dragon Suplex and then goes for the high fly flow and gets the win.
So I've heard a lot of talk about, I will say this, I don't know what the grapple in the cage match looks like, but it seemed like when this match first happened that the consensus that I was hearing was like a bit higher than what you rated it. Do you feel like that was the case? Like, do you think you were lower on it than other people?
I thought at the time I was kind of in par. I'm pulling up Grapple right now to see what the current average is. Let's see. So day 11.
There seem to be a lot of people that are really high on it.
So the average on Grapple right now is 3.94.
Oh, wow. Jeremy Donovan. Accurate star rater. Accurate star rater. I haven't seen this yet. One thing, though, that I've noticed, and it's kind of seemed to be the story that they've been telling with Tanahashi throughout the tournament. In a lot of the matches that he's winning, he's starting to resort to a more grappling-based offense, and it's not getting the job done. And in the big, we always talk about the big moments with Tanahashi. He's willing to bust out the high-flying offense. Well, it seems like the story they've been telling in this tournament is that he can't win the matches unless he does that.
Yeah.
And in the matches where he does that, he's able to overcome the adversity. And in the matches where he's not busting out the high-fly flows, he's not winning. So, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, like, that kind of... I don't want to discredit... Because in a way, that's a beautiful story. It makes logical sense. But at the same time, it's like... He really is taking those bumps. His knees really are crashing, and he really is broken down, and they're still doing this. And I'm just wondering if it's wise to do that. Because I was kind of hoping we would see him start to resort to a more grappling-based offense like what we saw in the match with him and Kushida, which he's fantastic at. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense to me.
Right, and I think... honestly,
and they might still do that.
Right, honestly, but I think that's the whole story of Tanahashi's tournament, and they've mentioned it on commentary too. He's tried to use a grappling base and tried to use other moves to put people away, but essentially, that bread and butter, that high fly flow is a thing that gets the job done. And Tanahashi realizes that, and regardless of how banged up he is or how his knees are feeling, he knows he has to hit that move to win. And so it's a great story. I mean, it might not be great for him body-wise, but I don't know what Tanahashi's post G1 schedule looks like. Maybe it's something where he'll be able to rest for a little bit. I know he is on the the poster for the Fighting Spirit Unleashed tour coming up in September. but maybe he'll have some time to kind of rest before then. Maybe he'll be in multi-mans on that tour. But
Tanahashi needs to reinvent himself. Why are you laughing at that?
Because he's like at the twilight of his career and now needs to reinvent himself.
Absolutely. He needs to like literally like go away for a little bit, come back and be the third man like he's Hulk Hogan, be Hollywood Tanahashi. But like for real though, like how many guys have like been able to prolong their career, like Terry Funks and Chris Jericho's and Undertaker and different guys who, you know, have been able to kind of, and Chono, guys who reinvented their characters and themselves. And I mean, like that almost sounds blasphemous because it is Tanahashi.
Yeah.
But what if he did? Like, what if he came back as a different guy and like then you kind of were able to believe in something different? Like, you know what? Like, as much as I like to see Tanahashi grapple, like, what if he just like becomes like a crazy brawler and goes like the freaking what's his name? Oh my god, who's the guy that I hate from Suzuki-gun?
The dude with the iron gloves.
Iska,
yeah.
Yeah, he needs to go the Iska route. Prolong his career.
Gosh.
No, but for real, you know, I don't know if that would be the worst thing in the world for him long term, is to maybe do. I mean, clearly something different needs to happen at some point. Maybe not now, but I don't think we're too far off from maybe it. If he's gonna keep wrestling, it's like a few different things that can happen. It's either they're gonna slowly diminish him and get him down the card till he's like a New Japan dad, and he just, you know, he's the same guy that he always was, just doing the same stuff he always was. But I think Tanahashi still could make more. I think they could make more money with Tanahashi if hypothetically they eventually give him a new coat of paint. As crazy as that sounds, give him a new style and add length to his career, because I don't think he's ready to be a New Japan dad.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. It's gonna be so weird that time when eventually he does become New Japan dad.
This is something that like they need to start thinking about. You know what I mean? Like, you know, kids aren't ready to go off to college yet, but you know, they're sophomores in high school. You start thinking about this.
Responsible parent Josh Smith.
You need to get them ready.
So we're going to move on to Night 12, which was the last show in July, and then we will talk about the July match of the month and July wrestler of the month, which we were actually supposed to start at the top of the show, but I got too excited and kind of
your fault.
Jumped into the G1.
No, it's my fault. I started with the claws. And I'm going to end with the claws, too.
So we move on to Night 12, B block action. We opened up with Jeff Cobb defeating Shingo. I went 4 stars on this match. I thought it was a great Hoss match with both these guys kind of going back and forth and displaying their power.
Let me tell you something, Jeremy. The year is 2017, and I tell you that in 2 years, in the G1 Climax, you're going to see Matanza Cueto wrestle Dragon Gate's Shingo Takagi. How insane does that sound to you?
Yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It didn't make a lot of sense, but this match was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys super strong and hitting a lot of their kind of strong blocks. You know, at the beginning of the match, both of them kind of trading off the shoulder tackles, typical kind of Hoss match, strong style. And then we saw a lot of great suplexes from Cobb, a lot of great strikes from Shingo. Very impressive spot with Shingo hitting the Made in Japan on Jeff Cobb,
which was awesome.
Dude, getting up there, stalling it out, and dropping him, dude. I kind of wish he sticked with the Made in Japan over the Last of the Dragon.
I kind of like it better too, actually.
Yeah. Like, it looks more dangerous. It looks more impactful.
It's just the stalling. I like the stalling.
Yes, and then the speed at which he just flips them and drops them.
It's because we're marks for the one-winged angel, and we just like when guys get stopped and then brought down hard. That's why.
Yeah, but yeah, that was an awesome spot right there. But you know, eventually Cobb got him in the Tour of the Islands and pinned Shingo.
And with that loss, Shingo is the first man eliminated from the B block. Were you surprised at that?
You know, at this point in the tournament, not really. You know, at the beginning of the tournament, I thought Shingo would be a guy that could potentially end with 8 to 10 points, maybe closer to 10 points. Something we got to remember with him and Will Ospreay, these guys are still considered juniors, and regardless of the incredible runs that they've had in the junior division, unless they're getting ready to move these guys to heavyweight full time right now, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for them to be beating heavyweights. And so now at this point of the tournament, seeing the losses that Shingo has been eating, I'm not surprised that he's out of the tournament. But even the defeat, he's been looking great.
Shingo's a great tournament.
Yeah.
Cobb's best match of the tournament, this one or the Ishii match? Go.
I'd go with the Ishii match. I think I went 4 1/4, I believe, on the Ishii match.
I think I still went close to 4 1/4 on this match. I really liked it.
Yeah, I really like this match too. I mean, if I watch it again, maybe I'd consider going 4 1/4. But at that time, I went flat 4.
Yeah, but they've given us, man, so many strong style like strong style contenders for Fight of the Year this year. This is just another in that long string of matches, and we're gonna have some tough decisions to make come award season.
Yeah, man, especially with Shingo, it's looking so impressive, especially with this guy like.
Oh man, Shingo's a contender for
strong style fighter of the year,
the Carl Gotch Award. Oh my God, yes, and, absolutely.
Being able to hit some of his signature moves on some of these bigger guys. Like we mentioned, the Made in Japan. He hit the Noshigami on Cobb in this match and killed Cobb with the pumping bomber. Got a great near fall there. So yeah, Shingo's looking great, man.
Yeah, I've been in the gym. I've been trying to hit some pumping bombers on the heavy bag. And it's been, all the women in the Pilates classes look at me kind of strange, but, I'm like, Axe Boomba!
But not sitting there going, young boy, young boy, young boy.
No, but for real, when I'm working, so I work out at my gym at my place of business, but you guys don't need to know where that is. But we have a gym, and I've been working out there, and there is a group of women that literally, like, every day they're in there doing Pilates, they're in there doing their workouts, whatever, and then I'm in there literally on the heavy bag just like, Issa, and I'm like working on my strikes, and I know these women hate me because they're like trying to be mindful and like tranquilo, and I'm in there like I've got no chill.
You're in there, V-trigger, Judas effect.
Yeah, I'm hitting my V-triggers, my Judas effects, my Mongolian chops, all that. Yeah, the women are over there like, okay, everybody, and I'm like, shh, chop. But one of the ladies actually did walk up to me, and she's like, are you training for anything specifically? And I was like, yes, absolutely I am. And she's like, oh, really? What? And I was like, to not die. And she's like, and I was like, this is just my cardio, man. And she's like, oh. And then she like, because they hate me, like they're so mad that I'm in there like striking as hard as I do, but I don't care.
So I don't know I don't have no segue there.
There's nothing to segue off of. What I said was glorious. It's awesome.
So next up, we had potentially one of the biggest upsets of the tournament.
Whoa. This is not one of the biggest upsets of the tournament, sir. This is one of the biggest matchups of the tournament. I think you gave the wrong adjective. Look at the adjective. Play. We're not here to play.
We had Toru Yano defeating Jon Moxley at 5 minutes and 7 seconds.
How about this week was the first time I realized how stupid of a statement that was that Nash made?
Dude, yeah, you told us that like when we were at in the Largo Loop show this weekend, and I'm just like, dude, like that's a whole joke behind it.
I never thought about the fact that it's a verb. I was like, I never caught him on that. Look at the adjective. Play.
That's the whole joke.
That crap's hilarious. Anyway, so what did you think of this match? I mean, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your feelings? Because I mean, I think this is super quiet. I don't know. What do you feel? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? I think that our fans, from what I understand, they much more appreciate your opinions, views, and takes on Jon Moxley because I'm a whiny little bitch when it comes to Jon Moxley.
You're a pure elitist.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah, I am.
It was a very fun, entertaining match. I went. What did I rate this one? I went
4 stars.
No, I didn't go 4 on this one. Where is my? I went 3. I went 3 stars on this one. It was a funny match. Yano doing all the shenanigans, and Moxley not really figuring out how to kind of handle Yano, trying to beat Mox with him, and it wasn't really working. And
the thing I was amazed at is this. Good friends over at the Super J Cast, they literally, on like the last few weeks shows, they like were saying Toru Yano is going to tape Jon Moxley to Shota Umino, and he's going to be unable to get back in the ring, and that's going to be the finish. It makes me wonder who they've been talking to, because that's like a little too on the money. That's too on the mark. But no, congrats to those guys for like literally predicting it. When they said that, I was like, that's the perfect booking. I love that booking. Mm-hmm. I gotta wonder if like Gato didn't see their tweet about it, and he was like, oh, that's great, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened here, and it was kind of classic, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. Mox ends up taking a count-out loss. He doesn't get pinned here. And, they've conditioned the fans and the viewing audience that Toru Yano can beat anyone, any way, whether it's by taping them up to somebody or to a ring post or the guardrail outside or hitting a low blow in a schoolboy or backslide or something. Like, Yano can find a way to win.
Bro, look at the Yano hit list. Jon Moxley, Tetsuya Naito, Jay White. He beat the 3 biggest like threats and stars in this tournament. This is Yano's tournament. Like, he could win this crap.
He's still alive.
He's still alive, and not only that, he holds the tiebreaker over most of the like major point leaders. So obviously he's not going to win, but like that's pretty ingenious booking. What maybe isn't ingenious booking, and I think we need to talk about it. So, last week I had a lot of things to say about Jon Moxley. One of the things, and I just wanted to be recorded, like on the record, the thing I was never having an issue with was the fact that he was 5-0. That wasn't the issue at all. But I've talked to people, and I've heard this sentiment. There are many people who feel like, why would he go 5-0 just to lose to Toru Yano? You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, from a New Japan fan perspective, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, we watch everything. We know Toru Yano could beat anybody. Do you think that because there are so many fans who are casuals, who are new viewers, who are here literally because of Jon Moxley, who maybe are not as familiar, how do you think this comes off? You know what I mean? For those people.
Yeah, to them, Jon Moxley fans that are kind of following him over to New Japan, this is kind of their first experience watching New Japan or watching the G1. To them, it might seem absolutely, completely ridiculous. This guy, he talked about, leaving Vince and all the cartoony, comedy, stupid stuff that he had to do there, and now he's here, getting taped up by some idiot and losing a match here.
When was it that Rich, was it on our show where Rich was like, get ready for all the fallout from Yano beating Moxley?
Yeah.
He's like, you heard it here first. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
But yeah, if you watch New Japan, you're conditioned that Yano can beat anyone. And the thing here was Yano didn't pin Mox. It was a count-out loss.
Right.
So they still protected Moxley and not having him being pinned yet in the tournament. And then you were able to keep a lot of people alive.
Yeah, I think that you can't make everybody happy. So there's some people who are like, well, the guy getting taped up and counted out on the outside after looking so dominant, that's kind of ridiculous. There are people who had that view. I heard Dave Meltzer say that exact thing. There's other people who feel like Jon Moxley's been made to look so strong, beating so many top guys so cleanly, and then, you put him in there with Toru Yano. That just seems like very questionable booking, especially if, hypothetically speaking, I don't know if it's true, but we know that in order for a lot of these guys to stay alive, since Jon Moxley holds the tiebreaker over most of them, he's got to keep losing. That seems like a very questionable trajectory for somebody who beat a lot of these top guys. It's kind of similar to like what they did with Kenta, but like we're not there yet, but like Goto's in his future, and it's like, are we really about to see this like Moxley, who looked so dominant against everybody, like take 4 straight losses,
Right. It's also very similar to the ELP booking in Best of Super Juniors.
Yeah.
End up going.
Is that something that you said you thought was going to happen with Moxley? Was that your thought?
I think I might have said it with Kenta.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I said it with Mox or not.
You said it with Mox. I don't know that to be true, but I'm just gonna we're gonna retroactive.
Let's just say I said it for both.
Jeremy's a brilliant man, and he said this shit.
But the ELP booking, he went out there. I believe he won 6 straight in a row, and then ended up eating pins, losing the last 3 matches. He was so dominant, and another guy that pissed you off. that tournament.
My dislike of ELP is way beyond my dislike of Jon Moxley.
I know. But
I also want to say this. I still love the Moxley and Juice match. My favorite match of Moxley's entire career. I feel like if we saw that Moxley throughout this tournament, I wouldn't be complaining so hard.
Well, Rich said, why did Jon Moxley upset Josh so much? LOL.
I feel like I laid out my views on it very clearly last week.
But yeah, the ELP kind of thing, starting strong, looked like he was going to be completely dominant, ended up losing out. And so it's similar here to what's happening to Kenta. It's happening to Moxley. It looks like it's about to happen to Moxley here.
I'm so torn between, like, if Moxley wins even one or two more matches, almost everyone's eliminated. He locks up everything, and that means that Naito and Jay White means nothing on the final night. I find that really hard to believe. But I also find it really hard to think that Jon Moxley came into this tournament, went 5-0, and then is now going to lose the last 4. Both of those things are completely divergent and seem, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems impossible that one or the other has to happen, pretty much. It's really the B Block's booking is very mind-boggling. But I was talking to James Boyd yesterday, and he's more of a casual viewer, but he's definitely someone I respect his opinion when it comes to wrestling. And he was like, yeah, man. Why did Mox? He's like, you're gonna have Mox lose. Like, why not just have him lose to someone respected like a Naito or like Ishii? Why have him lose to Yano at this point in the tournament? Now everything's convoluted. He's like, this is not. He's like, in his opinion, he didn't think that was a good way to handle Moxley, and I could see why some people feel that way.
Right. But I think in New Japan's eyes, and maybe even in Moxley's eyes as well,
they protected him.
Taking a count-out loss is better than taking a pinfall loss.
Right.
And if he was going to lose to Yano, I think it looks better for him to get a count-out loss than Yano pinning him.
I think it's interesting that there's so many different views on how that they've actually booked him in this tournament. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's funny how things can change so quickly. Like one week we're doing the show and this guy's like a juggernaut. The next week and it's like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. But yeah.
So moving on, we have Tetsuya Naito defeating Juice Robinson at 13 minutes and 45 seconds. And, dude, they were doing some wild stuff in this match. And there was a lot of head drops and, like I like to call, flat neck bumps from Tetsuya Naito here in this match. But I do feel, as crazy as some of the stuff they were doing, they
didn't hit the mark.
I do feel there was a little bit of miscommunication between Naito and Juice, and there was a little bit of sloppiness.
Bro, this doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm pretty sure, and I don't have dates or specifics to call from, but I've seen Juice and Naito work together in lots of tag matches, and I feel like they've had G1 matches before. They definitely have. They were in the G1 last year. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a match that like I disliked between them. I feel like they worked together really well, but for some reason, this did not live up. And, I'm going to say something a little controversial here.
I wonder if it's something I've been thinking.
That maybe it's Naito and not Juice.
Honestly,
is that what you're thinking? Because we haven't talked about this at all.
Dude, Naito, to me...
Also, by the way, we need to talk more. We live in the same apartment. Listen, man, like, I know we get busy, but we need to talk about this stuff. I care about you, man. You never check in with me anymore. I like it when you check in. This man be out here in the streets. I don't even know what he's doing anymore.
But yeah, with Naito, honestly, like, he's one of my underperformers of the tournament. And that might be a hot take. I know LIJ fans are probably getting ready to, blast my mentions right now.
Bro, he's right above Moxley in underperformance. No, I'm just playing. No, I agree with you. I think Naito has definitely underperformed, even in his, like, quote unquote good matches, and he's had a few. Mm-hmm. They are not to Naito's level.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know. I've been, like, laser focused on him recently too. It's like, maybe am I missing something? And, like, I've been, like, paying extra attention to him in his matches. And to me, I don't know what it is. Like, he just doesn't seem to be moving quite the same way, and kind of, I don't know what it is, but I don't know. He just seems kind of off to me.
Naito comes out during the entrance, super over. During the entrance, super charismatic. The little things. Now, here's one thing I will say. When it comes to the little things, little thing, you know, they always talk about like how Eddie was good at the little things. Naito is fantastic. And you know who else is really good at the, we're going to talk about him, Jay White, another guy, really good at like the little details.
Yeah.
Naito's great at that stuff. And he's still doing that stuff, but when it comes to like the physicality, the fast pace, and like it's just like Naito isn't performing to a level to where it's like egregious enough to where you're like he's a bad wrestler. But when you've been watching him for the last 5 years, 10 years, and you kind of know how good he is, and you're seeing his performances not live up to what they were before, it does make you wonder. You know, it's funny because people have been talking about like he's a physical mess, and I really got to wonder how that feels like that might be true. Now, that's not taking too much away from. He's had fantastic matches.
Yeah, he's still been having great matches, but you know,
but we also consider him like one of the best wrestlers in the whole world.
Right? Yeah, and yeah, this match here, there was just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of mistimed spots. You know, there was that tornado DDT spot towards the beginning on the outside that kind of got messed up, and just some other stuff that was just kind of. It's a little sloppy looking. I expected it to be a little bit tighter.
I think both guys have had great tournaments. I think both guys have had really good matches, but on this night they did not do a good enough job, in my opinion, of engaging the crowd, getting them invested. It was pretty quiet in there. You wouldn't have expected that because this was literally pretty much do or die for both guys, especially for Naito specifically. And you know, this was a crossroads match, and I thought it was going to be a really big deal. And you know, it didn't feel that way when it was over. It kind of like there was some crazy stuff, a lot of stuff where guys like hit their heads. You know what? Let's trade the head bumps for like compelling storytelling. Like that would be what I would say. But you know, if this was a match that was just on a regular Road to show, fine. This would have been a fine match. This was not a bad match. But in the G1, in a tournament where we've seen so many fantastic matches and two guys that you know can go. And that you believe in, and you are excited to see wrestle one another. This was, it wasn't quite the semi-main. No, it was the
third match of the night.
I still expected a little bit more here, and we didn't really get that. But ultimately, Naito, you know, picks up the big W.
The finish was great. Juice is going for the Pulp Friction, and Naito counters it into a brainbuster. Just freaking drops Juice on his head, hits the Destino 1, 2, 3. Gets the win. I went 3.75 on this.
Ooh, I was like 3.5, maybe.
Not too bad. Quarter star off.
Josh Smith, accurate star rating.
So that brings us to the semi-main event of the evening. We had Jay White defeating Taichi at 15 minutes and 10 seconds. Boy.
Why are you saying boy?
This match was full of shenanigans all over the place between Kanemaru, Mihoabe, Gato, and Jay White and Taichi, man. All the gimmicks, all the smoke and mirrors. But the thing is with this match,
I'm like sitting here thinking like, yo, I kind of like this match.
Here's the thing: when they were actually like wrestling each other, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But then, in between all the good stuff, you had the distractions, the interference, all this stuff. And some of it was fine, but it got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I know these guys could probably have a great match if they were just wrestling and had minimal interference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you've said, but on the flip side, I liked the interference. I liked the shenanigans. It's not like I thought this match was fantastic or anything, but it's like, come on, man. It's Taichi and Jay White. Like, it would not make sense if their match didn't have that at this point.
I'm not saying no shenanigans, but I don't know. I feel like it could have been scaled back a little bit.
I actually think that, and maybe it's just my opinion, I think that the overabundance of shenanigans like was the better part of the story. It's like, who's the real master, like, interference, like, controller? Like, who's the puppet master here?
Right,
Jay White or Taichi? And like, both guys had to basically scout one another and come up with a way to, like, get over that. Now, again, like, this wasn't a great match, but, like, for this point in the tournament, like, it's Jay White and Taichi. Like, I get it. Like, I liked it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, something that's comparable, but it's like, you know, when you have two guys that cheat a whole lot, what would I prefer? Jay White and Taichi to go out there and wrestle a classic like everybody else? Mm-hmm. No, I want them to...
and I'm not saying for them to wrestle a classic. I mean, I get, you know, Jay, he's a cheater. He has Gato. Taichi, he has Kanemaru and Mio Abe. I get that they're going to use those guys and come into play, but I think they could have eased off of it just a little bit. I'm not saying no interference at all.
They could have gone harder.
A clean, you know, catch as catch can, you know, strong style fight of the year or anything. But I'm saying they could have. I think they could have eased, you know, toned down the interference just a little bit, focus a little bit more on the in ring, and maybe it would have been, for me personally, a little bit more entertaining.
Nah, fuck that. More Miho Abe, more Satori specials, more cane shots, more chair shots, more interference, more ref bumps, more red shoes down. They needed more of it. This was perfect. For what, like...
5 stars.
It wasn't 5 stars, but it was like, you know what you're getting with the Yano match? Jay White and Taichi, this is exactly what Jay White and Taichi needed to be. Now, if someone didn't like it, like, you know, I get that. Like, it's fine. But it's like, both these guys have had pretty good tournaments. If Jay White and Taichi had sucked all tournament long and then they put this out there, I would be blasting it. But they haven't. They've been fine. And this is, you know, we talk about character work. Mm-hmm. This is their characters. Like, that's what needs to happen. My thing is, I wish Taichi would have tried to hit him with the
Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw, and that could have been part of the story.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wish that I feel like they whiffed on. But other than that, everything was fine.
Yeah, overall, I went 3 stars on it. Gentlemen's 3.
Gentlemen's 3. 2 guys talking about the same match with the same rating with 2 totally different opinions. Ultimately, 3 stars. Let's move on.
So we move on to the main event. Hiroki Goto defeating Tomohiro Ishii 18 minutes.
The G in G1 stands for Goto.
Yep, that was his post-match promo after he defeated Ishii here. And we had a great little strong style match here. You know, when you get Ishii and Goto, you know you're going to get a hard-hitting encounter, and that's exactly what we got here, with the exchange of forearm strikes and headbutts and suplex and fighting spirit spots. Thought both these guys looked great in this match. You know, Ishii has just been having a phenomenal tournament, and it's been throwing out bangers of everybody left and right. And, you know, thought this was a really great main event.
Yeah, I mean, Goto's another guy that, like, we've kind of... I feel like I've expected a little bit more from him than what we've actually ended up getting. And to date, I think that this is his best performance in the tournament. Him and Ishii always have fantastic matches, always. And I mean, I think that their rivalry and their history of matches with one another dates back further, and they've had more encounters in the G1 than any other matchup in either block. Mm-hmm. So this is a very, you know, familiar matchup that those who've been watching for a long time, they know what to expect with these guys. By no means was this their best match.
No, yeah, they have been better.
Way better.
Goto and Ishii matches.
But you know what you're going to get with Goto and Ishii. It's one of my favorite matchups almost every year. I hope they're in the G1 against each other every year for eternity. But I really like this match.
Yeah, and it was that great spot where they're just both exchanging bombs back and forth,
The elbows.
I don't even know how long it was, but it just felt like forever. Like they had that epic cinema work of the camera in that right angle, making it look even more epic with these guys just throwing bombs back and forth for each other.
Jeremy was marking out for it. He started chanting "Fight Forever."
These guys.
I started a dueling chant where I was like, "There's a time limit." He was like, "Fight forever." And yeah, Jeremy's a mark.
Yeah.
No, but I think we both really enjoyed this match like quite a bit. You know, the B blocks had a lot of hoss battles, and this was just another one of them. You know, as an Ishii mark, I was disappointed to see Goto pick up the win here, but, you know, this is a great way to cap off this night. It was a great match, and I mean, it's really good. Yeah,
but this was a win that Goto desperately needed here. kind of back up some confidence and build up some momentum for the rest of the tournament. Thought he looked great in this win here. Hits the sit out Ushigoroshi in the GTR to pick up the win. And like you mentioned, he got that post-match promo saying the G in G1 stands for Goto. Looks like Goto is ready to make a rebound here.
Well, this night was really important. Guys like Goto, guys like Jay White, guys like Naito picked up very important wins that they needed to stay alive, while Moxley took his first loss of the tournament. So it really started to stabilize and even things up in the tournament. This is a pivotal night for B-Block.
Yep. So those were the last two nights in July. So before we go to night 13 and 14, we need to talk about the July match of the month and the July wrestler of the month. So, young boy, let the people know the July match of the month.
The July match of the month is the match between Kazuchika Okada and the aerial assassin Will Ospreay.
Yeah, this was an incredible match, between the IWGP champion and the IWGP Junior Heavyweight champion. Two of the best wrestlers on the planet today going at it and having a great match. This is one of the most highly rated matches across the board. You can look at your Observer newsletters. You can look at your Cage Match, your Grapple. Look throughout Twitter. Most people have this as the top match of the tournament. It's pretty much unanimously one of the top rated matches of the tournament. And so it is our July match of the month.
So here's the thing with selecting this match. July has, in my opinion, by far, I don't know if it has had what I would call, if I'm being honest, I don't think anything I've seen in July would be my match of the year. But as far as great above 4-star affairs, the amount of matches has been daunting. And because we've seen so many in such a short period of time, and because of deferring takes, I think we're almost at an impasse last night. We were trying to decide what was the match of the month for July. Now I know for you, Jeremy, I think you have one match in particular that you view as being a bit higher than this, right?
Right. Personally, for me, the Ibushi Ospreay match is the best match of the tournament. I have it rated 5 stars. I think it's the only match I have at 5 stars.
And for me, at one point, I was really loving Okada and Kenta, and then I looked at all the ratings, and I was like, "Am I off my rocker?" I'm one of the only guys that's as high on it as I was. There also was the Ishii and Juice match, which there is a part of me that's I don't know. That might be the match I enjoyed the most the entire tournament. But it's been a weird month. We've seen so much great wrestling. I'm sort of desensitized. But regardless, this match right here was the one match that I think both me and Jeremy unanimously had in our top 3, regardless. And even if we weren't as high on it as everybody else, it does seem like the majority of all wrestling fans across the board have it as the top match of the tournament currently, or at least up through July, which is something you really can't shake your head at. And it's at this point, with how many great matches that were 4.5, 4 3/4, you're kind of splitting hairs.
Right.
So we kind of had to defer to the general consensus, and Okada Ospreay seems to be that consensus.
Yep.
Although 5 3/4, Dave, you've lost your mind, bro. It's such a good match, but it's not 5 3/4. Come on, dog. Come on.
Yeah. To me, it wasn't as good as Kenny and Tanahashi.
No.
Yeah.
What did he rate that?
Kenny and Tanahashi got 5.75.
Oh my God! It's not. It's not as good.
But yeah, we had just as a difficult time figuring out our July wrestler of the month.
What a chore!
Yeah, so many guys with so many great matches. I mean, eventually we kind of narrowed it down to a handful of people. Did some calculations on average star ratings and their tournament performances in July.
Dude, at one point we'd be like, man, we're like, well, it's obviously one of these two guys. But what about Archer? Oh, man, but what about Okada? What about Ibushi? Oh, my God, what about Shingo? What about Mox? What about Sonata? Dude, there's so many guys who are out there killing it that it's, almost impossible to, narrow it down. But, I think ultimately, if we're being totally unbiased, it really came down to Ishii and Will Ospreay.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and with that, our July Wrestler of the Month is the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. Based off of my star ratings, Ishii has an average of 4.5 star ratings for his matches in July.
What? How many matches? Five nights?
6 matches.
6 nights? Jeez.
Yeah, I looked.
That's strong, bro.
Vinny put out the averages from Meltzer star ratings, and I believe Ishii had a 4.6 average rating based off Meltzer's.
That makes
rating.
sense because he's overrating, and you're like a little more accurate than him. So that makes total sense.
So hands down, Big Tom Ishii is the July Wrestler of the Month. He's literally just been having banger after banger after banger.
Yo, the funny thing is, he was our Wrestler of the Month during the New Japan Cup earlier in the year, and now during big tournament Ishii.
Yeah.
Big tournament Tom.
Yeah. Tourney Tom.
BTT.
Yeah, man. Ishii, he's trying to take that crown from Sabre of best tournament wrestler.
He might be taking the crown from Will Ospreay for Wrestler of the Year. I don't know. Bro, Tomohiro Ishii's putting in work, bro.
Yeah.
Work.
So that's our July Match of the Month, July Wrestler of the Month. So now let's move on to night 13 of the G1 Climax. We're back to the A block here. We had opened up with Bad Luck Fale defeating Kenta at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think about this one?
I didn't like it. I was not. It did not slap. It was not a banger.
Yeah, I mean, once again, all the Bullet Club Fale shenanigans with Owens and Gato. I mean, excuse me, not Gato. Jado. And just, it's not much to say here. A lot of cheating, and eventually Bad Luck Fale does a schoolboy. Yes, Bad Luck Fale does a schoolboy roll up to pin Kenta.
Yeah, I kind of was mad because the ref's back was turned. Kenta grabs a freaking kendo stick, and instead of using it like a smart babyface, he freaking tosses it down and then gets rolled up. Like, you idiot. You use the freaking kendo stick. Like,
Yeah.
my God. But, I mean, the good thing was this was cut pretty short, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing really to complain about.
At one point, Kenta did have Fale in the game over submission, and Fale did tap, but of course the referee was distracted. So
he got the visual win.
yeah, he got the visual win, and I guess they kind of protected him by getting distraction schoolboy.
I mean, by a Bad Luck Fale standard, this wasn't a bad match, but I mean, it was just, it was exactly by the numbers what you'd expect.
Right. Once again, another 2-star special from Bad Luck Fale. So then we move on to a very interesting match. We had the Battle of Suzuki-gun teammates with Zack Sabre Jr. and Lance Archer, with Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Lance Archer at 10 minutes and 55 seconds.
I really liked this match.
Yeah, I mean, this was your very typical David versus Goliath style of match here. Lance Archer kind of being the big brute, trying to outpower Sabre, and Sabre kind of trying to use his speed and his submission holds and technical prowess to try and out-wrestle Lance Archer. But, I mean, in the beginning part of the match, Archer was keeping up with Sabre and kind of, hanging in there with the technical wrestling.
Yep. He was doing that, being very technical, definitely powering out of a lot of things. The pre-match promos and the work that they were doing on social media, I felt like really added a lot to this match.
Yeah, definitely hyping the match up. After the multi-man tag the previous night, you had Sabre going to the backstage singing the song, "Everybody dies, you die, and you die, and you die. But who's not going to die? Zack Sabre Jr."
Yeah, that was funny. Also, speaking of backstage promos, we forgot to mention, after Moxley lost to Yano, he cut like an incredible comedy promo and then told Shota Umino that they needed to go ice his balls. Like,
oh yeah, that was hilarious.
I'm like, how did we forget to talk about that? But no, I really liked this match like quite a bit. Zack was definitely using his wrestling acumen and his catch style, and Archer's out here, powering out of crap and being awesome and being super athletic, and both these guys being in Suzuki-gun, like, this was a pretty big match, actually.
Yeah, I loved Saber's counter of the derailleur. He countered it into a guillotine.
Yeah.
That looked pretty cool. Trying to see if there's any other cool spots that I remember from this match.
He managed to reverse the blackout into a choke at the very, very end, which I also thought was pretty smart.
Yeah, because so Archer
had him.
Yeah, he had a choke slam on Saber. It was 1-2, but he pulled him up.
That's how you knew. Stupid fool. Archer, you idiot. My God. I hope Suzuki was in the back, like, beating him with the cane or something like that afterwards. Like,
right.
Freaking, or stretching him out like he's freaking Stu Hart. 'Cause, my God.
Give me your arm.
Give me your arm.
But yeah, so he picked Saber up out of the pin, goes for the blackout. Saber counters into the chokehold, but eventually counters into the cradle to get the pinfall win over Archer.
I feel like, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but I feel like at one point he tried to hit the claw and he turned it into a triangle choke.
I think it was a...
Did that happen or no?
I think it turned into an arm bar, I think.
Arm bar.
It might have been a triangle, but I think it was an arm bar.
This wasn't either guy's best match, but for the story that they're telling, for the fact that they were stable, like, teammates wrestling one another, the build that they did to it, this is a really fun match. It told a great story. Zach slithered away, got his 1, 2, 3. And, I thought it was one of the better matches for both guys in the tournament.
Yeah, I went 3.5 on this. And we had a question from Reddit user...
I would have gone 3 3/4. I liked it.
3.75?
Yeah.
We had a question from Rambone Slam Pig. He says, what do you see next for Lance Archer? It seems to be a waste to throw him back in a mid-card tag team. Is he a potential never or U.S. title challenger?
Well... They might want to consider locking him up to an actual contract. I'm pretty sure he's a freelancer at this point. And, that con money might come calling.
We might be seeing Archer on Wednesday nights.
What if, oh my God, I've never thought of this, but it just came to me. Like, what if the tag team that no one's expecting for the first TV taping
is Archer and Davey Boy Smith?
Is Killer Elite Squad. No, but this is a guy that they need to push, and this is a guy that other promoters out there need to book.
Yeah, this guy needs to be in Bola. He needs to be in
I want to see
16 karat gold.
I want to see him fight Killer Cross at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this guy needs to be getting, Northeast Wrestling. This guy needs to be booked all over the place.
Tampa Bay Pro.
Yeah, him versus Dax.
Come on, Dax. Dax the Axe. Lock it up. Let's do this.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely do think it'd be a waste to put him back in a tag team. I think him in the Never division would be incredible.
I think him and JD Drake would be incredible.
That actually probably would be a
really good match. But, I mean... There was a tweet that someone asked him if he was interested in going after the U.S. belt, and he said absolutely, and he tweeted a bunch of people from New Japan, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, put the U.S. title on this dude. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll be behind Archer getting the U.S. title.
He needs some sort of program. He needs a program. He needs a push. He's put in some serious work this year and seriously improved and shown what he's capable of doing. He's been so impressive.
Yeah. So here is where the freaking Grade 1 Climax picks up, baby. From this match on, this night just went freaking through the roof and was straight fire. I love these final 3 matches. So first we had Evil defeating Will Ospreay at 17 minutes and 15 seconds. Man, this was an excellent match with both of these guys going back and forth. The crowd was super into it. Ospreay doing what Ospreay does with great spots. Evil had the fire turned up here in this match and was, delivering a lot of great strikes in this match.
So Ospreay is already eliminated going into this match, but Evil has to win. It's do or die for him. So Ospreay has the chance to play spoiler here. And I've said on the show many times, I'm not the biggest Evil fan in the world, although I respect what he can do. But when he's paired with the right guy And on this night, he was paired with the right guy. He can make magic. And this match was really, really, really good.
Yeah, dude, there's so many just great spots and counters from this match. They were just so great, and it was high energy, back and forth from both guys.
Ospreay reversed an evil STO into a powerbomb. That was freaking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And the closing stretch was awesome. I mean, the match was awesome, and the crowd was so into this match.
Yeah, hitting the Spanish Fly on Evil. Hits the Oz Cutter for a great near fall. I bet on that. He hit the Oz. I know he hasn't been winning with the Oz Cutter, but he hit it so smooth and so clean. I was like, oh my gosh, he got him.
Bro, Evil hit him with 2 half-and-half suplexes.
Oh, yes.
And, considering Ospreay, considering his neck and the stinger and all that, like, that was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, Ospreay hit a beautiful-looking Robinson special towards the end. He tries to hit the Super Oz Cutter, but Evil countered that into 2 German suplexes. That was a great spot.
Ospreay's going to fuck this dude up at some point in the future, whether it's like during the New Japan Cup or in general. Like, I can't wait for Ospreay to move up to the heavyweight division and beat the shit out of Evil.
But, eventually it came down to Evil hitting the Everything is Evil, that spin out STO to get the pinfall on Will Ospreay. I went 4.5 on this one.
I'm 4.25, but let me ask you this. Darkness Falls or Everything is Evil?
Personally, I like the Darkness Falls better than the Everything is Evil. It's a more impactful move. I feel like
it's the better move.
Yeah, I feel like he should have flip-flopped that. The Everything is Evil should become the false finish, second finish.
You know what it's like? Sami Zayn hitting the Blue Thunder Bomb versus the Hell of a Kick. The Blue Thunder Bomb is way better than the Hell of a Kick.
Yeah.
The Hell of a Kick is not like a finish. Like that's a
setup move.
Setup move.
Yeah.
These guys need to come to the freaking Keepin It Strong Style dojo. We need to teach them.
Yeah.
My God. But no, this match really, really freaking ruled. I could definitely see some people being higher on it than I was, but I still loved this match. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, excellent match. And then we move on to another excellent match. We have a rematch of the G1 Finals from last year. Kota Ibushi defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi 15 minutes and 55 seconds.
This is my match of the night.
Yeah, this match was another incredible match between Tanahashi and Ibushi. And these guys worked really hard in these 15 minutes to put on a classic here.
Yeah, so this was the long-awaited rematch of the G1 Finals from last year. And, there is a very long-running, emotional story between Ibushi and Tanahashi. And it really did climax last year during the finals, no pun intended. And then this year was the continuation of that. And, I don't think this match was as good as last year's match, although that was one of the best matches I've ever seen. But, man, do these guys ever not deliver? Like, they always deliver. Ibushi and Tanahashi is one of the best matchups in New Japan history.
Dude, that slap battle they had towards the end of the match was incredible. It's just so epic with both guys just slapping the crap out of each other.
There's a lot I loved here. Tanahashi working over Ibushi's quote-unquote injured ankle early. Ibushi flipping the switch and turning into Murder Kota and just laying in the strikes. Tanahashi showing his fighting spirit.
Yeah.
The slap battle you talked about.
Ibushi hitting the lawn dart on Tanahashi.
Yeah, and that actually is very relevant because that is a move that had put Tanahashi out of action in the past. So like a little breadcrumb from a match they had previously. Ibushi just bleeding from the mouth because Tanahashi slapped him like a freaking bitch. And the crowd was just so into this.
Yeah, the crowd was so hyped. I mean, this could have easily have been the main event this night or any other night on the tournament. You had Ibushi, the Kamigoye getting countered into a twist and shout.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, ended up doing 3 twists and shouts and a beautiful looking sling blade to follow after that.
Not only that, but like Ibushi channeling and referencing the Bombaye, it's even more prominent and important when it comes to matches with Tanahashi because that is the original generational rival of Tanahashi and the long storied feud that those two had. And it's relevant because Ibushi views those two guys as his main idols. Like, he calls them, like, the wrestling gods, like that. You know what I mean? So for him to be able to surpass Tanahashi and, you know, Nakamura is a big deal. Yeah, him hitting the Bombaye, like, I was getting emotional when he did that.
Yeah, that came after Tanahashi missed the high fly flow. And
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like he's never beat Tanahashi prior to this match.
I don't think he has.
And I think that that's been a big deal. Like, Tanahashi's always talked about how Ibushi could be the future and be the ace and be the top guy, but he needed to sign a contract, and up to this point he never had. Now we were on different playing ground. It really felt like, in a way, that this was a passing of the torch type match. This is one of my highest recommended matches of the tournament.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then there was that great near fall towards the end where Ibushi's going for the Kamigoye, but Tanahashi turns it into a cradle. Like,
oh, yeah, I bid on that.
Yeah. But then eventually Ibushi gets up, kicks Tana in the head, and then drills him with the Kamigoye and gets the big win here. And you could tell after the match, it seemed like Tanahashi was kind of saying something to him.
Yeah, they were sharing a moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, it keeps Kota Ibushi in contention, but, like, sadly, given the amount of big losses Tanahashi, even though he's at 8 points at this point in the tournament. He's had a fantastic tournament. He's lost to Ibushi. He's lost to Kenta. He's lost to Okada. He's out.
Yeah.
And he was my pick for the finals against Naito.
He was my A-block winner, yeah.
That keeps Ibushi in contention. It puts Tanahashi out. It's something I didn't expect at this point. Big victory for Ibushi. Great performance from both guys. I love this match.
Yeah, I went 4.5 on this one also.
Same.
So definitely great match. Worth a watch if you have not seen this thing yet. And then we move on to the main event of the evening with Sanada defeating Kazuchika Okada in 29 minutes and 48 seconds.
Wait. How long?
29 minutes and 48 seconds.
I just want to hear you say it again because you delivered it so well. How long are these matches allowed to go?
30 minutes. 30-minute time limit.
So he beat him with how many more seconds left?
With like 12? Yeah.
My God. This is incredible. Now that's storytelling, sir. Yeah, Sanada Okada, we've seen these guys wrestle on 2 other occasions this year. Once during, they were in the New Japan Cup Finals together, right?
Yeah.
And then Okada granted Sanada a title shot at Dantaku?
Yeah.
Man, 4 claws in, and I'm still able to recount these facts off the top of my head. Yeah. This was the 3rd match between them this year. The 7th match overall, and up to this point, Sanada has never beaten Okada.
Right, so this was kind of the big story here. Can Sanada finally get the monkey off his back, and he finally beat Okada?
And not only that, Okada is, up to this point in the tournament, 6-0 on that Kenny life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This was a do or die because Okada wins this. I think he pretty much cleans up the tournament at that point, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Aside from Ibushi, I mean, and even still, it's pretty much cleaned up. But like, this was a big deal, and this was like you said, the story for Sanada. Like how on the B block you have Juice kind of chasing Jay. That's kind of the big story for Juice. Sanada needing to avenge and overcome Okada for the first time ever. Like, that's kind of been his trajectory, especially since he's already out of the tournament. This is his last shot to really make an impact in this tournament, and he made the most of it.
Yeah, and this Osaka crowd was super in this match. I feel like they were more behind Sanada than they were Okada throughout the match. And we know the New Japan fan base, they love seeing an upset. They love seeing guys that typically win lose. And they were firmly behind Sanada here.
Bro, they loved Sanada. Like, they're so into Sanada, it's, like, kind of crazy.
Yeah, I do think, for me, this match started out kind of slow.
I think for everybody. Not just for you. Like, that's for everybody. It did. Like, let's retract that. Not for you, not for me. This match started out slow. It's just a fact. It started out slow.
They're, doing a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of counters, slow pace, but then it picked up towards the middle and kind of carried off towards the end, and eventually just ending with a great match here.
Yeah, I thought this match was really great. For me, I'm actually higher on this match than their other 2 matches this year personally. But, it's kind of funny. This kind of is right now Okada's top feud of the year.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah, it really is.
Which at one point I would have said Jay White, but it seems like unless him and Jay have another match that's really meaningful, like Sonata's his main rival this year, which is kind of...
Right, especially if Sonata ends up getting a title match based off this win, if they end up doing a title match during the Destruction Tour or at King of Pro Wrestling.
That's possible, but I kind of think they won't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should, because...
I don't think they should either.
I think they should save it for next year.
Yeah, I heard them on Wrestling Observer speculating about that, and I was like, he already got a title shot this year. Like, come on, give it to Ishii. But they really got super close to the 30-minute stretch. The one knock I have on the match, I had no problem with how slow they started the match. I'm actually a big fan of minimalist work and, basic grappling, basic wrestling. I think that's great. It's just that the way that they worked the match early on, you could definitely tell that they were working a 30-minute match. You kind of compare that to maybe those Okada Omega matches where they literally were balls to the wall like the whole time.
Right, yeah.
It's a little different, but that doesn't really diminish the match too much. It's just something I noticed. But all throughout, this match was fantastic. Sonata and Okada, they work really well together, especially in Osaka, with the Osaka crowd being so high on Sonata.
Yeah. And, these guys, they know each other so well, so some very great counters to a lot of their signature stuff. There's one point in the match where Sonata had a beautiful tiger suplex on Okada for a near fall, following it up with a TKO. And, of course, we had one of my most hated spots is locking on submission and letting it go.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. And when Sonata did that, I was like, you idiot. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the Skull End. Now, I know we've had so many discussions about the Skull End and how it looks, and I think we've always pretty much just worked on it under the assumption that it's a dragon sleeper. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, you know what? It's not a dragon sleeper.
Right, it's a neck crank.
It's a neck crank. And I can kind of understand it, quote unquote, a little bit more. Although, in a real jiu-jitsu match, you could probably just pop your head out. It's not that effective. Either way, I'm going to suspend my disbelief for a minute. If you have that dude in your freaking neck crank for minutes at a time and he's completely unconscious or, he's barely, responding, don't let go of it and go up for a freaking moonsault. Just tap him out, man.
Right, or wait for a ref stoppage.
Get the refs. I thought they were going for ref stoppage.
So did I, yeah.
And at that point, if they did a ref stoppage, I was like, oh my God. Okada has to defend his title against him at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because then there's no denying.
Right. But that spot, the reversal of the moonsault, that led into the kind of final sprint here with 90 seconds left. Crowds losing their mind, getting behind Sonata. Okada hits a drop kick. Rainmakers counter into this awesome pop-up cutter. Beautiful, looking like an RKO out of nowhere.
There's people calling for that to be his new finish.
Yeah, dude,
that's really awesome.
It was awesome, yeah. And
I wouldn't be opposed to it being a finish that he has. You know what I mean?
Right, like another finish that he can pop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, he busted out that pop-up cutter, goes to the top for the moonsault, to the back, and then moonsault to the front. 1, 2, 3. Sonata finally beats Okada.
And you did a fantastic job recounting the move-for-move analysis, but what really added the drama for me, and I think you'd agree, was the timekeeper, calling out the times.
Right.
That's what really did it for me.
That added it, yeah, 90 seconds left. 60 seconds?
50 seconds! And I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
One of while I was watching it, I was like, come on, boys, pick it up. But then they did pick it up, and it got so fantastic. I think I'm about 4.5 in that match, too.
I was 4.25 on that one.
It wasn't my match of the night. I still like Ibushi Tanahashi a bit better. But, bro, banger after banger after banger. Is this, the best night of the tournament so far? It feels like it might be.
I think it might be. I'll have to go back and look, but just based off those final 3 matches, it has to be one of the best nights.
Bro, incredible night.
Yeah, I really... enjoy night 13. And overall, it's the A block, man. The A block has been the main block that's bringing the heat in the streets in this tournament.
B block is doing really good, but A block is superior. And in the beginning, it felt more like parity based between the two. But once Mox started on his fuck shit, and then you know what? That's gonna be my new gimmick. Is that I'm gonna start a gimmick where I just hate Mox and I'm just gonna bury. Here's the thing, guys. Super genuine. I actually don't like ELP at all, but I do like Mox. But maybe to just draw more listeners, more views, everything like that, I'm gonna just start hating Mox just because. Actually, you know what the funny thing is? Before we move on to this final night, last year we talked about this, but I think it's worth mentioning. Thank you guys for all the downloads, all the listens, all the interactions. Last year, around the end of June, we had some of the highest numbers we'd ever. We're way past them now, but at the time, we were holy crap, these are the best numbers we've ever had. We had that big month in April, and then in June we had Dominion, and we had Best Super Juniors, and we're oh my god, our numbers are higher than they've ever been. And G1's coming up. There's no way it's going to go down. We're going to ride this wave. And then they literally, went way down. And we, could not figure out why. And we're just maybe the G1's too daunting for, casuals and, new viewers. Maybe that's, a lull period, as crazy as that sounds. This year, it's nothing like that. This year, we are literally averaging the highest numbers we have ever averaged.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had a record month last month.
And then what, you mean July?
July, yeah.
In June, we had our record month that we'd ever had. And then in July, we had our record month. This is crazy. And I got to tell you, I think it's mostly because Mox.
I think there's a lot of new fans that are intrigued in the tournament and trying to find out more and learn more about New Japan and trying to search out some resources. And I think a lot of people kind of stumbled across us. And
so don't ever leave us. Stick with us forever. We need this.
We do have some questions from some of our lovely downloaders on this match. First from Reddit user Asai Yojimbo says, what do you guys think of the rivalry between Sonata and Okada? Do you think that's where New Japan is heading with Sonata, or do you see it from Chris Charlton's angle with Okada possibly looking down on Sonata?
What did Chris Charlton say? Did you see that?
I'm not remembering what he said on that.
I've always seen Sonata being at a lower level than Okada. Obviously,
yeah,
6-0 for Okada. Sonata's never been able to cut the mustard, as they say. And it's only now that he's been able to beat him, and it's in a tournament match, and it's not for the title. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is a very important win for him. I think that it's an important elevation. I think it's very meaningful. I don't think, my opinion on this, we've seen guys beat Okada in tournaments before, say, Evil, Michael Elgin, people like that, who've beaten Okada in the tournament, and it didn't lead to anything. That's not what this is to me. I don't think this leads to an immediate title shot. If it does, it might. I could be wrong. But that's not the significance here. The significance is that they're elevating Sonata. And I think that that's important. I don't see this as being necessarily how they say, a generational rivalry, mm-hmm. even though they're the same age.
Yeah.
I see it as being the elevation of Sonata, which we've been wondering about it for a long time.
And I mean, yeah, they've kind of, this whole year, with the New Japan Cup and those matches with Okada, they've kind of been laying the groundwork for Sonata to be elevated to the next level.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, do you have any final thoughts on their, rivalry?
I mean, I think it's been a great rivalry for this year. They've been telling some excellent stories.
But it's multi-year. It's been going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I feel like there was a real emphasis on it this year.
I agree.
And I think, having Sonata finally get the win, it's a great way to continue the story. And I'm looking forward to see what happens next. So, next question from Reddit user, why did you do that, bro? He says, do you think we will see Okada and Sonata wrestle a fourth time this year at King of Pro Wrestling or Destruction?
Possibly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, this will be the fourth time they're wrestling. And if they are wrestling again honestly, I don't think Sonata's winning the title. I think, if they wrestle again for the title, Okada's going to beat him. I'm pretty sure Okada's going into Wrestle Kingdom as a champion. So I don't think you want to beat Sonata again after finally getting that win. I would kind of simmer and marinate on that and probably save a rematch for next year.
I like their matches a lot. I think that them having another match is more suited for Royal Quest than Destruction Tour or King of Pro Wrestling, personally, because Sonata's a draw over there. He's been built up as a big deal in Rev Pro. And, technically speaking, it is kind of a secondary show. That would be the more appropriate place for me to see them slotted than either of those other two shows, personally. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't really think about the Royal Quest title shot, but that would make a lot of sense. Obviously it's not going to be Sabre or Ospreay, so you want to put somebody in there that's over, and that would probably leave you between Sonata, Ishii, and Suzuki as 3 guys that you could potentially put in that title match. And if they want to go with Sonata, I mean, that Rev Pro does make a lot of sense.
They could do Nick Aldis.
How would the NWA World Champion be involved in this?
Champion versus champion, title versus title.
So, also, why did you do that, bro? Asked, more importantly, am I still in the lead of the pick'em?
I don't know.
And unfortunate news, why did you do that, bro? You are currently not in the lead. You fell out of the lead in the G1 contest.
Am I leading?
You are not.
Oh.
Right now,
the way you said it made me start to think that I was, and I was like, yes!
Michael Gottlieb is our current leader right now.
I recognize that name. I think, has he asked us questions before?
I believe, yeah. I think he's in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group.
Oh, he is? Yeah, I know Mike Gottlieb.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It'd be your own people.
Oh, man. So
where are we? Where are you? Where am I? Are we anywhere near being able to keep this Neo Geo?
I think we're closer to the top. Or actually, I think we're in the middle right now. I have to pull it back up and see. But
let's kayfabe the shit out of them.
We both had Tanahashi and Naito, and obviously Tanahashi's out. So yeah. But yeah, I'll try and get that standings out so you guys can see where you're at.
Remember that time that Kojima was in the World Tag League, and he was like, I'm going to win this. And they're like, you're already out. And he's like, anything is possible.
It's like, no, like, you're out.
And they're like, you're out. And he's like, I'm going to keep fighting. Anything is possible to them that believe. Like, no, you're mathematically not in this anymore. And he's like, fuck that.
Kojima was doing some Steiner math
to
keep himself.
Oh, my God. Off topic, but like, how great was Scott Steiner during the Impact taping that we watched this past week?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Steiner, Petey Williams, and Jordan Grace.
Yeah, bro. Jonathan Gresham might need to get on Scott Steiner. He's slapping freaking Jordan's ass, like calling her one of his freaks.
But we had another question here from our buddy William Johnson, who provided that Neo Geo.
Shout out to William.
For the prize here. He says, with Sonata's victory over Okada, does it mean NJPW might actually have legitimate plans for the Cold Skull? Also, why the heck isn't he under contract with them?
I think they've always had plans for Sonata. Look at him. He's a freaking stud. Of course they do. He beat freaking Tanahashi his first night in the company, so yes, they've got plans for him. What those plans are, I don't know. But yes, it does mean that they've got plans for him. And, we talk about it every year. Guys leave the company, other guys get elevated. I think that Sonata is making the most of his spot right now. He's doing really good things.
Yeah. And, if I were them, I would try and lock him down to a contract. With the wrestling climate being the way that there is, there can be offers all over the place for this guy.
It's not something we've never heard of. We've heard of major companies, Junior. We've heard about major companies like New York who are interested in Sonata. Look at him. Would you look at him?
Look at him. Look at him.
Look at him.
He's a cold skull.
We're gonna call you the Cold Skull. They would call him the Japanese something.
We'll call you the Japanese Skull. Vince. We can't call him the Japanese Skull.
No, it would be some sort of alliteration, something with a J and a J. I don't know what it would be, but they'd call him the Japanese something.
Yeah, they would probably, I don't know, make him like a J-pop guy, like the Japanese J-popper.
I don't think they would do that, but they would do something like that. But yeah, they've definitely got plans for him. And I mean, here's the thing: like, how many of those Japanese guys really want to go work in WWE after they've seen what's happened to guys like Asuka, Nakamura?
But WWE's not the only offer on the table, man.
That con money,
got the con,
that show money,
that TNT.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, how many people want to uproot their life and leave Japan? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, but at the end of the day, this is a business. This is a business, and there's a reason that guys go over there. They're trying to get paid. I'd be trying to get paid, but hopefully this equates to a bigger push, more money, more success for Sonata. He's a guy that wrestling pundits have been wondering for years. When's he going to put it all together? It seems like this tournament has been a big turning point for him.
Yeah. And then also the last part of William's question, he says, you decided to take in an open mic night at your favorite coffee shop. Of the current G1 participants, who would you like to see perform spoken word?
Okay, well, I go to open mics all the time at my favorite coffee shops and other shops as well. So this is kind of a hilarious question because, like, most people don't know that. Like, I play out at open mics all the time. And I fucking hate spoken word at who wants to listen to spoken word at open mic? But, if we're being honest, who do I want to hear? There's, like, okay, my top two guys that I like for promos in Japan, and I mean, I'm kind of biased because, like, I don't understand Japanese, so I'm going to have to pick English speakers. It's going to be Mox, and it's going to be Zack Sabre. Maybe Jay White, too.
Yeah, I was thinking more from like a Japanese, like, fan perspective. I would say Naito, just because he's, like, so particular on the words that he picks. I feel like for the Japanese fans that might be entertaining, but yeah, for English fan base,
who do you think could like flow, like hit that like freaking like,
drop some bars?
Yeah, drop some real bars.
I don't know.
I don't think Moxley like has enough like flow for that.
Yeah,
I think Zach could like come out there and like put down a banger. You know what I'm saying?
Put out a track that slaps.
Now, is he talking about only people in the G1 or just...
Yeah, he said G1 participants.
Ooh. Is there anyone you can think of anybody else? I don't think I'd pick Archer.
No, he just go out there. Everybody dies.
Everybody dies.
I can't think of anybody else right now.
Yeah. This is not the open mic. This is the killer open mic. And everybody dies. All right, sir. Thank you.
Puts the EBD claw on.
And after he gets done, everyone's like...
we had a question from our Scott buddy Ricky from across the pond. Ricky and Clyde Wrestling Show.
Oh, my God. There's nobody's opinion that I want to hear about the G1 more than Ricky. We need Ricky for the final. We need Ricky for the final. We need to talk to this man. We need to see what he's up to. Ricky, next Tuesday night, forget your family, forget your friends. Come be on Keeping It Strong Style.
So Ricky asks, what surprised you more, Kenta losing to Okada or Mox losing to Yano?
Kenta losing to Okada.
And I would agree, because I think we were both in agreement that Kenta was definitely beating Okada. He was going to get a fall title shot at the destruction of King of Pro Wrestling. Like we mentioned earlier, we're conditioned that Yano can beat anyone. Yeah. But to me, the bigger surprise was definitely Kenta losing to Okada.
Moxley losing to Yano was very telegraphed. I appreciate the question, Ricky, but can I actually add on to it?
Yeah.
What was more surprising? Kenta losing to Okada or Naito losing to Moxley? Because those were the big shocks. Those were the matches where I was like, get the fuck out of here. I think it was Naito losing to Moxley.
Yeah, I think that might be, because at that point it was like, he beat Naito, like who's going to beat him?
Yeah, that was like, holy shit. Not only that, but it was also because like, with Kenta and Okada, they were both 5-0. So either way, but like with Naito, you're like, surely Naito's not taking another loss. He's already lost so many matches in this tournament. I think that's the biggest like it's not an upset from a kayfabe perspective, but it is from a booking perspective.
Yeah. All right, so we got one more night here to talk about. Night 14, back to the B block. And we opened up with Tomohiro Ishii defeating Toru Yano in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. And I love this match. This is the best Toru Yano match of the tournament. 375. This thing was awesome. I'm dead serious.
You rated it 3 3/4?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, bro. Bro, this match was so good. Dude, I love this thing. You have Yano trying to, undo the turnbuckle pads, do all his gimmickry, but Ishii was not here for that. Ishii wanted to smoke. Ishii went at him like he would anybody else, going strong style at him, hit him with the elbows, hit him with the lariats, and it forced Yano to, stop the antics. There was one point where Yano goes to the ramp, sits in the chair, tries to bait Ishii into coming outside, but Ishii wasn't having none of that. Had to force Yano back in the ring and kind of force Yano to relive, bring out that inner shooter Yano and try to wrestle Ishii.
This match was very, very entertaining. I do agree. I think it was Yano's best match of the tournament. You were biting on almost every single Yano roll-up. Like, you were like, oh my god. Which was hilarious, by the way. Yeah, his antics weren't working as well in this match against Ishii. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're stablemates, tag team partners, very close all around. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Basically, Ishii made Yano fight Ishii's fight.
Right, yeah.
That was interesting. So Yano kind of had to go back to his amateur roots. He started suplexing Ishii. We saw the return of Shooter Yano.
Yeah, we actually got a strike exchange.
Proper strikes
between Yano and Ishii, where Yano actually got the better of Ishii.
I didn't think Yano was doing the best job like selling those strikes, but it's fine. This was different from everything else we've seen from him in the tournament. But at the end, Ishii was just too much for Yano to overcome. This might be Ishii's best G1 ever, including last year's, which was an all-time legendary run. Mm-hmm. Right now, Ishii, we on pace.
Yeah.
Like, Rich Latta was saying that this man might win every match. He was wrong. But as far as, like, MVP, we on pace. Ishii is fucking killing it.
Yeah, I believe this was his first under 4-star match for me.
Yeah, but you still went 3 3/4. It's freaking hilarious.
Bro, this match was so good, so entertaining. Like, this... Dude,
I'm glad you're coming around. I'm glad you're coming around on the Yano train. This might actually... I liked Yano's run last year in the tournament a lot. What did you think, like, Yano's best match in the tournament was last year? Like, I remember really liking the Sonata match.
Yeah, Sonata match.
And I really remember liking the Zack Sabre match a lot last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this might be Yano's best match of both those tournaments.
Yeah.
Better than the Kenny and better than the Ibushi match from last year.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's definitely his best match in this tournament.
Like, yeah, hands down his best match in this tournament.
Ishii out here, like... Bro, that's the thing. So that's something we didn't mention. So when we were talking about Wrestler of the Month, and I wanted to bring this up and I forgot to. With Will's a guy who's having the best match of the month, or the best match of the tournament with almost everybody he wrestles. But most of those guys are actually still having incredible matches around, like, in general, regardless of whether it's with him or not. And it does say something to how great of a tournament Will's having, because they're having, all these fantastic workers are having their best match with him. But I almost am more impressed by Ishii, who's taking all these guys who are having, they're all having their best match with Ishii as well. But they're not all having bangers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some of them are great. Some of them are inconsistent. Some of them are... No one's been bad, but some are inconsistent. But they're all consistently having, above and beyond, their best matches with Ishii. And it's almost more impressive what Ishii is doing with everybody. And this match with Yano is just another example of that.
Yeah, so Ishii, he picked up the win with the Brain Buster after getting out of a great near fall cradle from Yano. Yano countering the sliding D into a cradle. But yeah, Ishii able to put him away with that big Brain Buster. I love the energy in this match. I love the sprint. The crowd was super into it. This match was awesome. Best Yano match of the tournament. And for all of you guys who are a little bit, down on the Yano antics or don't really appreciate what Yano can bring to the G1, you definitely need to check this matchup here because I think you guys will really enjoy it. So our next match of the evening, we have Tai Chi defeating Juice Robinson at 12 minutes and 29 seconds. What do you think about this one?
Why? Gato, why? Why? I don't understand why my boy Juice has to lose to Tai Chi. Like, I know it's like me eating my own medicine because I've said before, anybody can lose anybody, and I'm like, Tai Chi can beat anybody in this tournament. But like, dude, why can't Tai Chi beat like other people? Why has it got to be Juice, bro? Like, come on. I really did not like this match.
Yeah, it was just kind of there for me. I gave it the Gentleman's 3. It's another one of those situations when they actually were wrestling. It was good, but you had the Miho Abe interference, you had the Kanemaru interference, you had the the raking of the eyes, all the distract, the refs going down, and all this stuff, and Tai Chi using the Satori surprise, and just doing all this, cheating to take advantage here.
So here's something that I've noticed about Juice. Juice has really become, in the last few years, a fantastic worker. But a skill that he has yet to acquire, and he still has time. He might acquire this skill, but he does not have it now. When he's working with someone who's a lower worker, he can't elevate them yet. And he was not able to elevate Tai Chi. That might not be the story that they might not have been trying to have an epic, but I can't think of a time where Juice has elevated somebody else to a higher level. You know what I mean? And that's something important that great workers need to be able to do. So that's something that's kind of missing from his tool bag right now. But, obviously Juice, the story with him is that he's trying to best Jay White, or I'm sorry, not Jay White, John Moxley, and that's a big goal of his right now. But I don't know, man. He had 6 points coming into this. You feel like he really could have used those extra 2 points and gone up to 8 and been closer in contention. And now he's not out,
but it's harder for him.
It's not even that it's harder. It's virtually impossible. The scenario that has to play out for him to be in contention. And you know what else? It kind of telegraphs a lot of. It really telegraphs a lot of things. We're going to talk about Moxley here in a minute, but if Moxley, we talked about it last week. If Moxley were to win just 2 more matches, then everybody in the tournament's eliminated at that point, except for Juice. Now with Juice being at 6 points, it creates a scenario. We've only got 2 more nights, right?
For each block has 2 more nights.
Not saying Mox is going to win both nights, but if Mox were to win both matches, the one against Goto and then the one against Juice, well, obviously at that point Juice loses the tiebreaker, but everybody's completely eliminated at that point. If he beats Goto, almost everybody's eliminated. So them having Juice lose here actually almost telegraphs the fact that I think Goto will in fact beat John Moxley. And I feel like the smarter booking decision here was keep Juice alive, keep him close in contention, so the match on the final night means something. Now, they got me really believing that Mox is losing all the last 4 matches of his tournament. I think this is a bad booking decision. And it's not because I don't like Tai Chi or I don't like Juice or whatever. It's just from a math standpoint. I don't think it was a good decision. Also, I don't think the match was that good.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, I gave it gentleman's 3.
It was fine.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, we had Hiroki Goto defeating Jeff Cobb in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, this is another match I thought was just kind of all right.
Goto and Cobb don't have good matches with one another.
It's one of these things where you feel like they should have good matches with each other. They both kind of wrestle strong style. Cobb has awesome suplexes. Goto has really good strikes.
I think this is the 3rd or 4th singles match we've seen between Goto and Cobb. And I can't remember any of them really being great. Like, the best one was probably that match in...
Honor Rising?
Did you like the Honor Rising match better than the match in San Francisco?
Oh, I forgot about the San Francisco match.
I think I like the San Francisco match the best. And I didn't love that match either. That was that night where I kind of buried Cobb a little bit on the podcast.
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy. These are two guys I really like, who I don't think have good chemistry.
Right, and that's the case. Sometimes guys just don't have good chemistry, and no matter how good they are, if we put them in there together and they don't produce a good, or a great match. I mean, I thought the match was fine. I went 3 1/4 on it. But a guy like Cobb and a guy like Goto, you'd expect a little bit more.
And also, speaking of underperformers, I know we mentioned how good the matches with like Goto and with Ishii and Shingo were for Jeff Cobb, but other than that, Jeff Cobb has really underperformed in my book when it comes to the G1 on a major level.
Yeah.
On a major level.
And for me, personally, I think it's part of the way he's booked. Honestly, I think the way he wrestles, it better suits him for him to be booked as a juggernaut. We saw that in Lucha Underground when he was Matanza. We see it in Ring of Honor as his run as ROH TV champion.
Oh my God, how crazy is that? I prefer Jeff Cobb as Matanza Cueto. Isn't that crazy sounding?
Yeah. But yeah, the ROH, the TV title run, that was booked very strong there. Whenever Cobb is kind of like the underdog, it just doesn't seem to really work out well.
I don't know what it is. I just feel like this guy's got an opportunity to really capitalize, and I don't think he has grabbed the brass ring, as they say. But Goto ends up defeating Jeff Cobb, picking up another 2 points, and you were one of the ones who said that you thought Goto was going to end up with a pretty good point total, and like he's in a place where like he could definitely be in contention for the end of the tournament based on the points right now. As crazy as that sounds,
this win gets him up to 8 points. He's 4-3. So Goto looking good. I think I said he was going to end with like 10 points. So not too far off from that. We did have a question here from our Twitter follower @BraveDirtyHawk. He says, in all seriousness, what do you think NJPW plans are for Goto? A lot of build up for the G1 just to kind of go back to old Goto. Is he just what he is? Will the LA Dojo elevate him or continue to never weight him? Love the podcast.
Thank you for that comment. If Goto stays in Chaos, he's done. Goto's getting older. He gets booked like a geek. He's a very talented guy, but time is catching up with him. He's not going to get another IWGP title shot as at the current trajectory that he's at. He's not going to get a major push. He needs to leave. He's the number 4 guy in Chaos. He needs to leave. This LA Dojo thing is one of those things that I could easily see as being something that maybe gets built into something for real. But how often do we see things like this just kind of spring up in New Japan and then lead to nothing? By the way, who is the mole in Chaos?
Oh my God.
With that being said, I don't know if they have concrete goals for Goto. Goto's a company guy. Mm-hmm. Goto's a guy that has a lifelong job there. He will always be used. He's a company dude. He's got a bright future as far as employment with them, but as far as booking, he needs to leave Chaos. That's his only hope.
I really think they need to go ahead and do this LA Dojo faction. And I mean, he does have a winning record. It looks like he's going to end the tournament with a winning record, so that's good for Goto. I don't know what... I mean, he beat Ishii, so I'm assuming we're going to get a never title shot on one of these many tours coming up. So I'm sure that will happen. But yeah, I'm not quite sure if what exactly Gato has penciled in for Goto for the rest of this year, outside of maybe a never title shot.
And we move on to the final match of this review, final match of the night.
Well, the second to final match.
Bro, I do this all the time. I always call the semi-main event the main event. I'm so stupid. Anyways, either way, this is the duel of the knife perverts.
Yes, we had Jay White defeating Jon Moxley at 15 minutes and 22 seconds.
How did you feel about this match?
It was kind of weird. Like, there was, once again, obviously with Jay, you're going to have a lot of interference with Gato. I felt like they kind of focused a lot on kind of Gato and kind of some outside stuff more than the in-ring work. Yeah, I just don't think there was a heavy emphasis on that. I feel it was a lot of Jay kind of playing mind games and try to outsmart Mox and not try to out-wrestle him. If that makes sense.
Is it crazy that I didn't love this match?
I mean, I wasn't super high on it. I went 3.5 on it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so it's funny. Like, everything that Jay does that he's good at, he did. Everything that Mox does that he's good at, he did. This was what you would expect from these two guys. The things that I have issues with both of them were still there and very prominent. And it was pretty much like what I could have told you what this match was going to be, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And because of that, I found it disappointing. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about it. Like, I don't want to come off too negative. I think it makes sense that Jay had to beat Jon Moxley. My biggest problem is that Jay's supposed to be a big star in New Japan. Moxley is a guy that they're really pushing to hopefully draw money down the line. And it's the same issue I had with the Naito match. Take all the criticisms I had about Moxley out of the picture. He should have fantastic matches with Jay White, and he should have a fantastic match with Naito, because those are guys that you want to draw money with down the line, and they didn't do that. And I'm not blaming it all on Moxley either, because there's blame to be given around for all guys involved. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, these are matches I should want to see again, because these are major players in New Japan, and I don't think that they did that.
And I'll say this with Jay White. Honestly, I feel like throughout this whole tournament, he really doesn't feel like a star to me in this tournament. This is a guy that was coming off of being the IWGP champion and main eventing a sold-out Madison Square Garden, and he walks into this tournament. Honestly, he feels like just another guy to me. He doesn't even feel like, one of the top guys in this tournament. And part of that's probably just the way he's been booked and how his matches have been going in this tournament. As a former IWGP champion, you think you would want more of that.
Yeah, I think they booked him very precariously. I kind of see why they did it in the beginning, because it really played into the whole storyline between him and his former Chaos stablemates. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. That's logical. But at the same time, I mean, Jay's not at the level that he was in the first quarter of this year. Or even the first 4 months, you know what I mean?
He's definitely cooled off.
Yeah, and I mean, they can definitely heat him up later on, but it's interesting with Jay, because Jay's had a good tournament, not a great tournament, but a good tournament. And maybe that's been the main complaint about him and criticism from people that are like, he's not quote unquote up to the level, is that he's good and not great.
Yeah.
I think he's great some of the time. And when he's not great, he's always good. And so that's why I'm always like, he's really good.
Yeah, you know what I think the problem is with Jay White in the G1, and why I felt like he's been great outside of the G1 compared to in the G1. I feel like the G1 too much of the same kind of thing back to back. Like, there's a lot of cheating and a lot of shenanigans within this few week time period in all of his matches. When in his bigger title matches, like, the cheating is almost kind of spaced out.
Sometimes I feel like, and I agree with you, sometimes I feel like Jay White's better as an underdog. And when he's in these matches against guys that seem to be credible threats, like Okada, Ishii, maybe even to some extent Jon Moxley, he comes off better. And maybe there's a big, even though he comes off like such a dick so much of the time, there might be a real future for him as a underdog babyface down the line.
I mean, I thought he was a great babyface when he was a young lion. When
I did too.
He was doing the work in Ring of Honor, a part of the Search and Destroy faction. Yeah.
But, my problems with this match, and I'll just run through them real quick. Moxley got most of the offense. Jay had too much outside interference. And it just was an unbalanced match. Like, you know what? Moxley eating everybody up is fine, but he shouldn't be eating up Naito. He shouldn't be eating up Jay White, and then he still loses to Boot at the end. And I know that they did that to protect him, quote unquote, make him look strong. But this just rings of political booking to me. It takes me out of the match. It makes me not enjoy it, to be honest with you. Moxley, that's my problem. I think that's what I was trying to convey last week. Is Moxley fucking everybody up is too political to me. And it doesn't come off like that Zack Sabre thing where Zack Sabre beat all those guys in the New Japan Cup and it came off like star making. Jon Moxley's already a star. That's my.
But is it too political? But if this deal was already signed before the AEW deal and Gato was already planning his G1, like how do we know this wasn't the plan before he even debuted at AEW?
This has nothing to do with AEW. He's being made to look like too much. Like, it's what I said last week. He's fucking everybody up, and he's taking very little offense from them. And that, I don't know, it feels like a Hulk Hogan thing. A guy who's protecting his spot and fucking everybody up, but, like, the ring work doesn't match up with what with the booking of the matches. Moxley's a star. This is not, he's already a star. Why are they booking him that way? Like, this doesn't help anybody. That's my problem with it, is it doesn't help him. Because he doesn't need the benefit of it. He's already over. Like, when he got...
But I think the thing was maybe Gato wasn't sure how over he would be in New Japan.
Maybe.
We see Gaijins come in all the time. We talk about it on the show about Cody and guys like that. They come in, no reaction.
They should have audibled by now. They've had... This is the 6th night.
Well, it's a G1. You just can't audible something that's this planned out.
Yeah, you can, because it has nothing to do with the outcomes of the matches. It has to do with the layout of the matches, and those are two different things. The layout, the outcomes of the matches are fine. It's the layout of the matches. That's where the audible needs to be called. They're booking the matches badly, and it's not getting his opponents over, and he's already over, so he doesn't need to be booked this strong. It's actually setting up no future programs for him. The only match that he's had in this entire tournament so far that I ever want to see again is the match with Ishii, and that is it. No one else. That's bad. That is an indictment on his tournament for me. And I think that's a really valid point.
It is a valid point, but I don't know. I don't want to go on the whole Mox rabbit trail again.
I'm not going down the whole Mox rabbit trail, but I just want to say, like, the fact that I don't want to see him and Jay White and him and Naito again means that there's a problem with the way that they book these matches.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of people in the A block I'd like to see him have matches with.
I agree. And I think that that's a great thing that there's still a bunch of future matchups for him, and I'd love to see those matches still. But they should have put money in the bank with Jay White and Naito. And again, it's not all on Mox. Like I said earlier, some of that's Jay, some of that's Naito. But either way, someone fucked up here. Because those should be money matches, and they're not anymore.
So we had several questions here. First from Michael Padruso. Says, do you think Moxley's loss is potentially leading to him losing to Juice and then dropping the title before AEW starts TV in October? Also, do you think there's a little bit of a storyline connection with Omega beating Ishii for the first IWGP US title, and now Moxley holding the US title and is poised to face Omega in a non-title match?
Well, as the bigger AEW, follower, because it seems like you're following a lot of their online media. I mean, I think they've made a little bit of allusions to that, right?
They haven't really mentioned the U.S. title. Mox did mention that he he went to Japan to train for Omega, to learn about Omega, and to prepare for Omega. So they mentioned that with him being the G1. They haven't really mentioned about him being the U.S. champion.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is kind of a backstory there with All Out right around the corner. But as far as Moxley potentially losing the title, I mean, we've been saying from day one that Juice is probably going to beat Mox on that last night and stop him from going to the finals and setting up a rematch for Juice to win the belt. And I do think that will probably happen during the Destruction Tour, since Mox can't work NJPW US dates. That'll probably happen during Destruction, and Juice will get that win back in September, and then you send Mox off to go do AEW TV in October.
I kind of agree. Although I feel like Destruction Tour is almost too small of a tour to have Mox drop a belt if he's going to drop a belt. You know what I mean? I
mean, they had an IWGP title match in Destruction last year.
No, absolutely, but I feel like Mox is a bigger star than that. You know what I mean? Like, if he's going to drop the title, do it at King of Pro Wrestling. That's my feeling anyways. On the positive, and it's not a huge positive, if Mox were to lose the last 4 matches of this tournament and then turn around and drop the belt to somebody, I don't think it does anybody any favors. I don't think they're doing that. Like, he might lose the rest of this tournament, but to turn around and then drop another title right after that, that would be quote-unquote very giving of him. And hats off to, Jon Moxley if that's what he decides to do. But that seems short-sighted booking. Like, why book him so strong in the beginning? Not only that, he's definitely in the West the biggest star that they have going right now. It's a terrible idea.
The problem is, though, they can't use him in the West.
It didn't stop them from keeping a title on Jericho and different guys like that. I say keep the belt on him until Wrestle Kingdom. Do it when it matters. Give him some more wins. Rebuild him. And book him in a match that really, really matters for Wrestle Kingdom. Like, don't squander him like that. Like, five losses in a row before he wrestles Kenny Omega seems kind of crazy to me.
Well, the title match would be after Kenny.
Okay, either way, it still seems kind of crazy to me. Like, that seems like a lot of losing. I think that's a bad way to go. I think he should at least hold the belt. And now, based on the way that they booked this G1, I didn't feel this way before, but now I'm like, all right, well, just if you're gonna have him lose this many times, and who knows, he might still go to the G1 finals. We don't even really know.
Right? Yeah.
He might beat Juice and then go to the finals. Who knows? But if he's not gonna wrestle for the IWGP title at Wrestle Kingdom, just keep the belt on him and let him go to Wrestle Kingdom as a champion. That's my thought.
So next we had a question from Reddit user Zack Saber Time. He says, if Moxley was not available for the G1, do you think someone like Goto could have been placed in that role? Comes back from humiliation only to be the leader of his block and go undefeated for a bit. I think it's another missed opportunity with Goto because he's really good, but no one really believes in him anymore.
What? If Mox hadn't been in the tournament, should they have booked Goto to basically have a redemption story arc?
Pretty much, yeah. Could Goto be booked? Could have benefited from booking, like a better booking if Mox wasn't in the tournament.
I don't see that. I mean, here's the thing. Goto has always perpetually been an underdog. Like, this is not a new thing. Like, you can go back to, like, the early days, 2008, 2009, and it's like, this is his character. You know what I mean? It's not anything new. Could they have done that? Anything's possible. Would they have done that? I really don't think so. And yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a potential for him to possibly be higher in the block, maybe.
He's pretty high, though.
I mean, he is pretty high right now, but even higher if Mox wasn't there. But like you said, Goto's always in that underdog role. I mean, he is doing pretty good right now, so I'm not quite sure how much more better that he could have done with Mox not being in the tournament. Next, we have a question from Wes Hanley. He said, how mad is Josh on Moxley no-selling a nut shot and brass knuckles? Wasn't really on board with Josh last week until this last match, and I get it. LOL.
Who said that?
Wes Handley from the Wrestling Square Circle.
Hell yeah, Wes. Hell yeah. You know what? I actually didn't pick up on that. Like, when he kicked out of those things, I was like, you know, he's going to kick out of those things. Mm-hmm. I was fine with it, to be honest with you. I think what I had more of an issue with is that he took most of the offense. And actually, you know what? With him and Jay White in that particular story, it probably made a lot of sense for him to take most of the offense because Jay White's kind of like a sniveling heel and he's like a thinking man's wrestler.
Yeah, he's a chicken shit heel.
It would have made sense, and I would have probably been fine with it if that's like the only match where it happened. But because it happened in every match up to this point in the whole tournament, is just like more of the same for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah. But hell yeah, Wes.
Then from Reddit user Ginsane G1, do you guys reckon Moxley will have a big match at Wrestle Kingdom?
That name is freaking awesome. Yeah, I think he has to, right? I mean, why else bring him into New Japan if you're not going to capitalize and try to expand the company? Like, he's a draw. He's a big star.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not privy to what his contract looks like, how many dates he has, but
I heard that they're doing him and Muda.
I think it would make a lot of sense to have him in a big match, especially you got 2 nights at the Dome. You're going to need a lot of big matches for both nights. So definitely have Mox in a big matchup, whether that's defending the U.S. title, whether he's in the IWGP title match or IC match or never match. I definitely think having Mox in a big, high-profile match at Wrestle Kingdom, that's going to equal, bump in subscriptions here in the West and more eyes on the New Japan product.
I agree.
So now we move on to the main event, the battle of the LIJ members. We have Tetsuya Naito defeating Shingo at 27 minutes and 20 seconds.
Match of the night.
Yep, match of the night. I thought this was a banger.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. Both of these guys, they know each other so well and seeing a lot of great counters. Naito wanted, in promos, said he wanted a more aggressive Shingo, and so he was kind of trying to get under Shingo's nerves through certain points of this match to kind of bring out that, more dangerous, more aggressive Shingo. And yeah, and this ended up being such a great match.
Yeah, I loved this match. I mean, obviously, just the history between these two guys. I love that about New Japan, the fact that they will not only reference the relationship between wrestlers within the promotion, but things that exceed beyond that. And I mean, both of these guys being brought up by Animal Hamaguchi and their training and their history. They've known each other since they were 19 years old. And just referencing all that history outside of New Japan. Not only that, but like the way that both these guys are huge stars, they've been built up into promotional matches are always a big deal. And then like you've got Naito and Shingo as like the top 2 guys right now, excluding Sonata, in LIJ. It had a big fight feel. It really, really, really did. And these two guys, you could tell that they've definitely trained together because they worked so well together. Naito's best match of the tournament.
Yeah.
And probably Shingo's too.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of high ratings and review on this match, and it definitely deserved it. A lot of great stuff here. Love that spot with Naito countering that super powerbomb into a Rana and then following up with a poison Rana. That just looked nasty. We had the spot where Shingo just lariating Naito and just turning him inside out. Just so many great stuff here. Naito hitting a dragon suplex on Shingo. Shingo hitting once again that Made in Japan, looking so great for a great near fall. Naito countering the last of the dragon into a Destino. Just so many great counters, so many great spots here in this match.
Yeah, I loved this match. It felt like an actual struggle. It felt like there's just such high stakes here. And I gotta say this. I mentioned this during the viewing of this when we were watching it, but like Shingo's a dick, bro. Listen, okay, you and Naito are supposed to be boys, going all the way back for whenever. Naito's the only person left in the block from your stable that actually has a logistic chance of winning. You've already been knocked out. Give him the win. Give him the win. Instead, this man's fucking pumping bombing him like a million times, chopping him, dropping him on his dome. Not only is he trying to take away the points from him, but even if he wins, he's taking his health and his life away from him. And it's like, Shingo, you're selfish, bro. You're selfish.
So you wanted a finger poke of doom.
It's not that I wanted that. That's what Shingo should have wanted. If he was a good person, he would have laid down for Naito, given him the easy pass, and said, you know what, let's do this at a better time when it actually matters. Shingo, you win. What does it matter? It doesn't matter. Like,
if he wins, he becomes the leader of LIJ.
He does not become the leader of LIJ. But I'm just kind of joking. But like, if you think about it from a logical sense, like, yo, Shingo, you're a dick. But in actuality, like, these are two guys who have a lot of pride and a lot of heart and have a lot of history with one another. And yeah, it was great. And Shingo kicked out of the Destino. It's just really, 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 really good. I loved this match.
Oh yeah, and freaking Naito countering Last of the Dragon into a freaking Canadian destroyer.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I can't remember him ever doing a destroyer.
Neither can I.
That was awesome.
That was dude. I lost. Dude,
that was awesome.
I love Canadian destroyers, so I freaking lost it for that.
I did see people that were like, a lot of people were like, what, 5 stars on this? It's kind of crazy.
Dude, there's a lot of people throwing 5 on it, 4, 7, 5. Personally, I was 4.5.
4.5, baby, all day. This is the tournament 4.5 for me.
I think on the Grapple app, I think this might be one of the highest. I think it might have surpassed Okada Ospreay.
Holy shit.
As one of the matches. Let me see if I can pull that up real quickly.
That's just because they're LIJ marks.
all the Naito fans use Grapple.
Yeah. All that. Yeah. All the real New Japan fans use Cage Match, but all the LIJ fans, they've infiltrated Grapple.
So right now, the Grapple average for Naito and Shingo is 4.61.
Is that high? Yeah, it's pretty high.
Yeah. What night was the Ospreay Okada match again?
I wouldn't know.
I think it was night 7.
Either way, it's probably, that sounds right.
Yep, it was night 7. So night 7. So the Okada Ospreay match on Grapple, the average is 4.68.
Okay, so pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot better than 5.75. So, man, another great night, and let's talk about where we're at this point in the tournament.
Yeah, so at the A block, at the bottom of the block, all these men are sidelined, eliminated. Bad Luck Fale, Will Ospreay, Lance Archer all have 4 points with a 2-5 record. Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr. have 3-4 record with 6 points. The Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kenta tied with 8 points, 4 wins, and 3 losses. All those men are eliminated. And then at the top of the block, we have Evil with 4 wins and 3 losses, 8 points. Kota Ibushi, 5-2, 10 points. And the top of the block still, the champ, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, 6-1 with 12 points. So, Okada, Ibushi, Evil, your 3 guys still in play here for that A block. Then over to the B block. At the bottom, guys eliminated. We have Shingo, 2-5 with 4 points. Tai Chi, who is 3-4 with 6 points. Jeff Cobb, 3-4 with 6 points. And then everybody that's still alive, we have Juice Robinson, 3-4 with 6 points. Toru Yano, 3-4 with 6 points. Jay White, Goto, Naito, and Ishii, all with 4 wins and 3 losses at 8 points. And then on top of the block, the Death Rider, Jon Moxley, 5-2 with 10 points.
So, do you want to have a discussion about A block scenarios or B block scenarios first?
We'll start with the A block.
Okay, so we've eliminated 5 of the, 6 of the 9 competitors?
Yes.
Is there 9 people in each block or 10?
Thought it was, is it 9 or is it 10?
Oh, there's 10. So 7.
7, yeah.
So all we have left is Evil, Ibushi, and Okada. So I think we should just, right off the bat, start with Evil. Evil's got 8 points. Okada's got 12 points. there's only 2 more matches left. Going forward, Evil has a match against Archer and a match against Okada. So hypothetically, if he were to beat Okada, that would put him at 10-12. And then if he were to beat Archer, that would put him at 12 points.
And then he would have the tiebreaker
over Okada. But in order for that to happen, Ibushi has to beat Okada. Who won the match between Evil and Ibushi?
I think Evil won.
Let me just take a look at that, because that's Evil did win. So the only reason Evil's alive is in order for Evil to win the rest of the tournament, he needs to beat Okada next, and then he needs to beat Archer. So, and at the same time, Ibushi has to beat Okada, so they all end up with 12 points, and he wins the tiebreaker over both of them.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that he's alive. So he has an outside chance. I don't think this is happening.
Yeah, I think that's very unlikely.
Now, with that being said, Ibushi has 10 points, Okada has 12. Who does Ibushi have left? Ibushi pretty much has...
So on night 15,
Okada
he has,
and Sabre.
Yeah. He has Sabre on night 15 and then Okada on night 17.
So, do you think it's likely that Evil's about to beat Okada?
That or a draw.
To kind of keep the points close? Because if Okada wins his next match, he'll be at 14. And then at that point, Ibushi would have to win his last 2 matches, which the finals against Okada, to tie him.
Yeah.
To be able to win the block. That would be if Okada wins the next match. So I'm going to tell you right now, I think the most likely scenario, I think Evil loses to Okada. And then Ibushi and Okada are just simply in the finals against one another, and Ibushi needs to tie Okada to win the block. That's my projection.
That's probably the most likely scenario.
Yeah, I don't see Evil beating Okada again, and I think that's one of the strongest ways that you can keep Okada strong throughout the tournament. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, you've got a very compelling scenario for either guy, Okada or Ibushi. It's anyone's tournament at that point.
And they're both tied, but with Ibushi being Okada, Ibushi gets the tiebreaker.
And obviously, if Okada beats him, he goes to the finals. He's done what no IWGP champions been able to do in many, many years.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's pretty clear cut. It's Ibushi or Okada, barring the idea that Evil beats Archer and Okada, which is a huge task.
Yeah. So they go to the B block where things are a little bit more murky.
I think we start at the top because I think that makes a little bit more sense. Mm-hmm. So Jon Moxley has 10 points, and the guys that are still alive, he's got victories over. So he's got a victory over Ishii and Naito. So there's 2 more nights?
Yeah.
So if he gets one more win, Naito's out and Ishii's out for sure. That would just leave Goto, Jay White, Juice, and Yano. Obviously, Jay White got the first pinfall victory over him, which is a big deal, and Yano has a tiebreaker over him. So those 2 guys could both hypothetically win, but Yano would have to win. Well, actually, if you think about it, in order for Yano and Juice to stay alive, Jon Moxley has to lose everything.
Yeah, so they could all tie at 10 points.
That's going to be it. The math is really screwy there. It's going to be really hard for Juice or Yano to stay alive in this. So, like last week, and I think I mentioned this earlier on the show, last week it seemed like if John were to win a few more matches, or even just one, at that point the only person that was staying alive was like Juice. But now with Juice taking that loss to Taichi, which I think was a booking mistake, now he's really like down. And it kind of, to me, in my opinion, it really telegraphs the idea that Moxley is going to lose to Goto.
Yeah. I think we're getting the Ibushi and Naito main event that so many people have predicted.
The match, the what?
I think we're getting Ibushi Naito as the
You think
block.
That's the finals?
Yeah.
See, before it would have seemed so crazy to me to think that Goto could beat Moxley. I think Goto's beating Moxley either way.
Mm-hmm.
Goto beats Moxley. We're at a tiebreaker at that point, and then at that point, it's anybody's guess what happens. Whether, them basically. I think Jay's gonna win his last match. Naito wins his last match. Moxley loses to Goto. Now we've got, Naito at 10 points, Jay at 10 points. So you kind of got a 3-way tie between them, and it's really up to Juice to try and spoil Moxley. If he doesn't, then I think the final is still going to end up being Naito and Jay White at that point.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds. So, like, if Jon Moxley were to win, and let's say he loses to Goto, and then he beats Juice, he'll be at 12 points. Then at that point, the only person that could win is Jay White. Because Jay's got the tiebreaker, and Naito has already lost to Mox, so he'd already be out. So I think it's got to be that Mox... One of two things is happening. Either Mox is winning the whole block,
or he's losing out.
And then we're just kind of a straight match between Jay White and Naito to determine the winner of the block. I couldn't imagine that Naito and Jay White were having a match where Naito's already eliminated.
Right. That would make no sense at all.
Yeah, because then Naito's fighting for Moxley, and then it's either Naito wins and Moxley passes, or Naito loses and Jay White passes. That doesn't... I mean, you could do that, but that doesn't... To me, that's a bad booking decision. God, Moxley's losing the last 2 matches, man.
Yeah, I guess Gato really listened to last week's podcast and, flipped the script. And
do you think we could be getting Ibushi and... Okay, like, here's the crazy thing, though. Is like, okay, out of all those matches, in a way, Ibushi Naito's, like, maybe aesthetically the most appealing match to me. But we've never seen Moxley and Ibushi. And what crazier match could you possibly have than those two guys? Like, I don't know if anyone can wrestle Moxley-style wrestling better in New Japan than Ibushi. But then there's also Jay White kind of needs that elevation. And we kind of thought last year he might end up in the finals this year.
Yeah.
And him and Ibushi have never had a singles match.
Here's my thing. Like, with Mox and Ibushi, I feel like if that was the finals, I feel like Mox would win and get the title shot. Just because Ibushi's already facing Okada. So if he gets to the final, he's beating Okada. We know that they typically don't run back the same match for Wrestle Kingdom.
This year it feels like they might have to.
Yeah.
If they do that. Like, that's what the booking has been so weird.
That's why I think it's going to be Naito and Ibushi. Naito's going to beat Ibushi. And he's gonna get to the... I still think Naito's going to end up winning.
Really?
Yeah, I'm back on Naito winning.
What if Okada wins this shit? Because, like, we're kind of discounting that a little bit in our discussion, and like that, we might end up with Jon Moxley and Okada, man.
We could.
Like, the most obvious and the most blatant outcome might just be in front of our faces. Okada's at the top of the block, Moxley's at the top of the block, and this isn't me saying this is not some sort of like, well, it's possible, but it's like wink, wink, hint, hit. It's not really going to happen. No,
it could happen.
That could really happen.
Yeah.
It's not my most likely scenario, but like, dude, it might be one of those things we talk about all the time where New Japan does stuff and it's right in front of, it's blatant, it's right in front of your face, and we try to get too cute with everything and we just like ignore it. Bro, it might just be right there.
Yeah. So
right now, your most likely scenario, you think it's gonna, and I'm kind of disappointed because I kind of thought last week I was like, it might end up being Ibushi and Juice, and that is so like that's probably not happening. Right now, you think it's Ibushi Naito?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Ibushi Naito. It's the Budokan. They don't have to worry about selling out, even though they've done that match so many times this year. It'll be a great match, hot crowd. I think you have Naito beat Ibushi.
Are we discounting Evil too much?
I don't know. I have a hard time passing up Ibushi or Okada for Evil.
Here's the thing. Whoever wins the A block doesn't need to win the tournament because the B block guy is going to challenge Okada.
You could do Evil and Naito.
could do Evil and Naito, and you end up with an all LIJ finale, and that could actually be something that really elevates Evil and is a big deal for Naito or LIJ fans. I don't know, man. This is the most unpredictable. Like, we're a week away from the finals, and I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do here because Okada's still in play. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, let's look at these last few nights and try to make some quick predictions.
All right.
So we have G1 night 15 coming up, A block night. The second to last A block night, we have Sonata versus Archer.
I'm just going with my heart more than anything else. Sonata.
Yeah, I'm going Sonata also. We have Tanahashi and Fale.
Ace.
Yeah, I'm going Tanahashi as well. Then we have Ospreay and Kenta.
This will probably be Kenta's match of the tournament. Kenta.
Man.
And I'm saying that because he's going against Ospreay, and Ospreay's giving everybody their best match, and this will probably be a banger.
Dude, their interactions in the multi-man tag
were awesome.
Were amazing. So this match is going to be a banger. I really don't want to see Will take another L, but I think
that bazooka, it wasn't even a knee. It was like a shotgun like
drop kick.
He killed Ospreay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kenta.
Nice.
Then we have Ibushi and Sabre.
Ibushi.
Yep, going Ibushi. Then Okada, Evil.
I'm going Okada, and Evil will be eliminated, and it will be Ibushi Okada finals.
Yep, I'm going with that as well. So that's on August 7th. Then we go to night 16 on Thursday, August 8th. We have Yano and Taichi.
The match everyone's been waiting for. Taichi.
Yeah, Taichi. Then we got Cobb and Naito.
Going
Naito as well. Then we have Goto and Moxley.
God, this is like the most important match of the tournament.
Yeah.
Goto.
Yeah, I'm going to go Goto so it keeps Naito and Juice alive.
Here's the thing. I don't know if we thought about this. If Goto beats Moxley, he ends up with 10 points. And then he'd have to pretty much lose on his final night against Shingo. Otherwise, he could maybe potentially win the block, right?
Maybe,
with 12 points if he were to beat Shingo.
Yeah.
So Goto's got to beat Mox. In order for it to kind of work out in the way we're thinking, Goto's got to beat Moxley, and then he has to lose to Shingo.
Yeah.
I'm going Goto.
Then we have...
Did you go Goto?
Yeah, I went Goto.
Oh, man.
Juice and Jay White.
Before we move on, let me just say this. If Goto beats Moxley, then my idea about Taichi having beaten Moxley earlier in the tournament ain't so crazy now, is it?
No, it's completely different.
Oh, okay, whatever. Let's move
on. Juice and Jay White. I'm going Jay.
Yeah, it's gotta be Jay. God, Juice.
So Juice.
I wanted Juice to have a better tournament than this.
Yeah.
Performance-wise, he's had a fantastic tournament.
Yeah. Then we got Ishii and Shingo, baby. Strong style match of the year written all over it.
They're both out. It doesn't matter at all. This is going to be to set up a Never title. This is going to set up the Never title. Bro, I want Ishii and Shingo at Wrestle Kingdom again. I'm going Shingo.
Oh.
Shingo's going to beat Ishii, bro.
I don't know, man. I'm going Ishii.
Nah, fuck that. Shingo's got to set up this future title shot. You're probably right.
They could do that, but I don't know. I'm feeling Ishii here.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Then we have Night 17, Saturday, August 10th. This is the final A block night. We have Okada and Ibushi, which is probably going to be the final to determine the winner.
Ibushi.
Going with Ibushi also. We have Tanahashi and Ospreay.
I don't know.
Dude, I'm going to go Ospreay. So you pulled an upset.
Oh, that sounds...
On the last night.
That sounds insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Ace. I got to ride with the Ace. I don't know.
Kenta and Sabre.
Well, at that point, they're both out. So I thought Sabre was going to play a
spoiler
to Kenta, and now it's not. I'm going Zach.
Man, Kenta's eating so many L's. But, yeah, I'm going to go Zach as well. Zach, he needs to kind of end with a winning record. Then we have Evil and Archer.
Evil.
I'm going to go Archer.
I'm going with Evil because if Evil were to have beaten Okada, then for sure Archer was going to beat him. But now that he's taken the loss in my booking and he's already eliminated, him beating Archer makes sense, and he is the bigger star than Archer, so I'm going Evil.
All right.
And he's beaten a lot of big stars in this tournament. Quietly, Evil's had a fantastic tournament.
He has, yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy.
Then Sonata and Fale.
Hopefully Sonata.
Yeah, but Fale hasn't really done much winning, but I'm going to go Sonata.
Bro, it's like Fale's worst tournament.
It is, yeah. So then the final B block night, Sunday, August 11th, we have Juice versus Moxley.
Juice.
Yeah, I'm going Juice also to set up that future U.S. title match. Ishii and Taichi.
I think that my confidence in Juice winning means he's going to lose. Like, Moxley's probably going to beat him. Ishii.
I'm going to go Taichi.
You got terrible, but so Ishii's beating Shingo and then he's losing to Taichi? God, that's terrible.
Hey, Taichi's former never champ, man. They might want to get him back in the mix.
Maybe. Yeah. I hate that booking. You might be right, but I hate that.
Obviously, I would prefer Shingo, but
yeah.
Yano and Cobb.
Cobb.
I'll go Cobb as well. Goto and Shingo.
Who cares?
I'm going to go Shingo here.
Shingo needs to beat Goto.
Yeah. Then Naito and Jay White, which is probably going to be the determiner here.
Based on everything that we've said, this would be the determiner. If everything works out the way we've said, which lately has not worked out that way, but I'm going Naito.
So then we will have a Naito versus Ibushi match for the finals on night 19, which is Monday, August 12th.
Stardust Genius.
Yeah, man. I'm going to stick with the original prediction. Going with Naito, going all the way, and getting the briefcase.
Bro, we're going to end up with a fucking Evil versus...
Naito.
Evil versus Goto. Evil versus Goto final. We're not even thinking about...
Oh, my gosh.
What a crazy tournament, man. And I kind of wish that, like... So we've got 4 big shows still left. 5 or 4? 1, 2.
5. So there's 4 block nights, and then the finals.
I wish that there was like just another 3 before next week, and then we could like review and like have a more defined view of everything. Instead, like we're 5 nights out, and we are kind of working off of. We're still kind of far behind, as far as like we don't know. So I wish on this episode we could give you guys a more definitive view of what's going to happen. But like this has been a topsy-turvy tournament. This has been crazy, man.
Yeah, dude, this tournament has been crazy.
And we got questions.
Yes. So from Reddit user Templar235, who is your tournament MVP so far, and why is it Shingo?
Is it Shingo?
It's not Shingo.
Is it Shingo? It's not Shingo.
It is Tomohiro Ishii.
We've talked about why he is on the show. Jeremy, you haven't really weighed in too much on your thoughts. Why do you think Tomohiro Ishii is the MVP? Because I think I've already shared my thoughts on it.
I mean, I think just based off of match quality. I mean, the guy, based on I haven't included the August matches, but based off July averages, the guy is averaging 4.5 stars for his matches. He's literally given everybody their best match in the B block. Everything above 4 stars. This guy has been killing it. He's had main events. He's had semi-mains. This guy has looked incredible this whole tournament.
Incredible. Yeah, I agree. Tomohiro Ishii is having another all-time career G1 after last year's all-time career G1. Like, it's insane.
Then from our buddy Dan Coffin, he says, how does this G1 compare to G1s of the past? Which previous one was your favorite? So the first G1 I watched was G1 27, and I cherry-picked that one. So last year, G1 28 was my first full tournament, so this would be my second full tournament. So just based off of that, I mean, last year was an incredible tournament, and I really enjoyed it.
I think my favorite G1 was we're at 29.
Yep.
I think G1 27 was my favorite G1. Not last year's, but the one before it.
Right.
But this ranks right up there with most of them. I think, comparing this year's G1 to last year, we've said, I think that if you want to talk about the highest of highs, I don't know if any tournament has ever had as many close to 5-star or all-time classic matches as last year's. So if someone made an argument to say last year's was the best ever, I couldn't necessarily fault you on that. But there was a lot of low lows last year.
Yeah, last year you had Jay White shenanigans, Fale, Tamatonga. So and if you don't like Yano, then you can count that as well. So,
but like the G1s from 24 to now have been fantastic, and this is literally right in line with this renaissance run that New Japan's been having.
Yeah.
24, 25, 26, 27. 27, I think, for a long time I used to think that 24 is the best that had ever happened. And in some ways it might be because back then they were doing nothing but A block and B block nights on the same night. So the tournament was shorter, but the nights were like literally, there were some nights where there was a couple nights during G1 24 where there was nothing but close to 4-star matches the whole night. 10 close to 4-star matches. So I mean that's why that tournament is so legendary. But this is a very, very consistently great tournament.
Yeah, last year, like we said, might have higher highs, but this year was definitely more consistent. You had a lot of great, 4 to 4.5 matches consistently throughout this tournament.
I think the main thing, though, the biggest story about this tournament, more so than anything else, is how compelling the booking's been, because nobody knows what's happening. And even now, 5 nights out, after, we're 15 nights in?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. We're taking our best guess. We don't know. And that's incredible.
Next question comes from our man, Joel. He says, following this G1, I'm impressed by how well put together everything is. It's like a Rubik's Cube.
Yep.
How long do you think it takes Gato to put it all together? What do you think that process is like?
I couldn't even weigh in. I couldn't. He's a mastermind.
I envision him having like a huge whiteboard in like one of the back rooms, and he just has like everything charted out. He has like all the guys like pictures like on a piece of paper. He's like, all right, if I beat this guy, like this guy has to lose, and he's just like doing this whole like crazy like math like equation on this huge like whiteboard.
I literally have a picture of Charlie from Everything Sunny in Philadelphia when he's like doing the conspiracy theories and he's just freaking out.
Aliens, yeah.
Like that's what I think. Like this man's a genius. Like I don't know what his process is, but like he does it time after time, time after time. Like he does it. Like he just keeps doing it, and I can't do it. I can't even predict what's happening looking at it as it's happening. So I mean, he's brilliant, bro. I don't know what his process is, but he's incredible.
Then from Undoubtedly Dean, he says opinions on Suzuki as a potential Royal Quest opponent for Okada.
That would be a great opponent. We've talked about it in weeks past, but like he's a big star in Rev Pro. He's a big star in England. He wasn't included in the G1. Him getting a title shot would make a lot of sense, especially if hypothetically Okada were to win the A block or even win the G1. He might be a fantastic opponent. They have tons of chemistry. They have tons of history with one another.
And even in this tournament, in the undercard, Suzuki had been targeting Okada.
Yeah, and he's been fucking him up too. So yeah, I think that would be a good move. I still think that Sonata's the guy. But
for Royal Quest.
Personally, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense also.
Because if you're gonna do that again, don't do it in Japan. Do it in England.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I think that's what they're doing.
Then from Reddit user Brian James Interactive, what do you think will be the undercard makeup of the Wrestle Kingdom shows? What I'm referring to is actually how the G1 blocks are put together, and that wrestlers have an intense bout one night, but undercard tags the other night against the rivals. To keep each show containing all the stars, do you think Wrestle Kingdom would still feature, say, Okada on an undercard match in the date he won't be main eventing? Or will they keep everyone who's on a top-tier match completely rested for the corresponding date? New Japan has a stacked roster, but it seems like a risk to have Okada or Naito not on a Tokyo Dome show card. Us Western fans probably all buy the 2 dates because of the travel, but those living in Tokyo might only go to one show. Oppositely, if you have a big star undercard the night before and get injured, this would be a disaster for the show on the 5th. Many things to think about, so interested in your thoughts.
Man, what a question. I'm like trying to follow the question. Like, this is a lot to think about. Jeremy, what are your thoughts? I'm going to read over this again.
So, I think that there is potential for the guy. So let's say the IWGP title match is going to be on January 5th. I do think we'll get Okada in a undercard tag, and let's say it's Naito. So Naito wins the G1. It's going to be Okada and Naito. I think the undercard tag on night 1 will be something like, Okada and somebody from Chaos against Naito and somebody from LIJ, Naito and Evil, or Naito and somebody from LIJ. You'll still have like that undercard match, and then you'll have the title match on the next night.
That's possible. I guess, so what I'm understanding, he's wondering about like whether top stars, if they're going to be in big matches on one night, are they going to be involved in tag matches the other corresponding night, basically? Okay. You could do that, but at the same time, like he mentioned, New Japan has a very, very stacked roster. And I don't know, that sounds to me like very road to-y, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's very road to-y. Like, I'm not watching personally, if you want my opinion, I'm not watching Wrestle Kingdom to watch, like, undercard tags with, like, Kanemaru and and guys like that. Like, we watched Wrestle Kingdom for the singles matches and the big tag matches and things that actually have real substance and real meaning. If you're telling me that what they're going to do is they're going to have 2 dome shows, but they're going to basically take what could have been 1 dome show
and make it 2.
And make it into 2, and then give us multi-tag matches like it's a freaking New Beginning tour or a Dantaku, fuck that. Fuck that. That's a terrible idea. They have enough talent and enough guys on their roster to literally give us 2 hugely stacked cards with nothing but big matches that have meaning. That's a terrible idea. They should not do that. And I'm not crapping on the question because I think it's a great question. And I could see why they might want to do that because you know what? I understand the logic. It's like, well, you don't want to have Naito not on both nights. Find a better way to do it. I don't need a match with him and Bushi. And
what if it was just 1? Like, that was the only undercard tag, was a big preview for the title match the next night, and everything else is fire.
You could.
I mean, LIJ multi-mans are great.
You could, but that just we get that all year. It's not special. It's not special if you do that, especially since we're gonna get that on the road to Wrestle Kingdom tour.
Right.
We're for sure getting a bunch of those types of matches on the road to Wrestle Kingdom tour and on the Destruction tour. So no, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. And I don't think Gato will.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the road to Dome tour, but yeah, they would do a bunch of multi-mans there.
I actually think that there's a more likelihood that one night is going to be... This is what I think. I think January 4th is the real Tokyo Dome show. Everyone's conditioned for that. They're going to do it like it's the Tokyo Dome. And then January 5th is going to be a very much souped up version
of New Year's Dash.
And I feel like I think a lot of people here are thinking like they're going to sell out both nights, and if they do, great. But like, what if they only sell out the one night, and then the second night they just have a really good showing, and they're still profitable at the end of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I think of it in those terms is because of this. They had so much interest for New Beginning last year. They could have ran a bigger building, but they didn't, and they probably could have for the last few years ran bigger buildings for New Beginning, or not New Beginning, New Year's Dash. And they haven't. And it's like, sure, you might not sell out a Tokyo Dome with New Year's Dash, but you definitely would make more money and do bigger numbers than if you were doing Sumo Hall or doing Corkin. So why not just like have New Year's Dash in the Tokyo Dome and just present it as a bigger deal than it actually is?
Right.
I think that's what they're doing. If you want my honest opinion, I think they're having January 4th, I think they're doing Wrestle Kingdom, and then they're doing quote-unquote Wrestle Kingdom 2 / I think it's really just going to be New Year's Dash. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I think they might do.
And I feel like, so obviously the heavyweight title is going to main event one night. I honestly think that the junior title is going to main event the other night.
You think? I think what you've said is that you think the 4th is going to be the night that they
right. I mean, I'm thinking like a Western mind. Traditionally, when you have a multi-weekend show, the second card is usually
the bigger show.
It's usually the bigger show. So based off that thinking, I'm thinking night 1 you main event with Shingo Ospreay for the junior title. Night 2 you go Okada Naito for the IWGP title. Now, if they do it flipped, which we were talking to Jamie about this weekend, it does make a lot of sense to book the 4th as the number 1 show, like you're saying, and you do Okada Naito that night, and then you could do Shingo and Ospreay on night 2 for the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm considering is that I think that fans in Tokyo probably associate that date, January 4th, as being the big show date. You know what I mean? Because they've been doing it since 91, 92? That's what I think. And then I'm like, the January 5th show is like, they want the New Year's Dash show really facilitated a very important role in the booking of New Japan, and I don't think that they can do away with it completely. So even if they could do some sort of mishmash of what we both are thinking and maybe have the big matches on January 5th and then still do some of those angle-driven story, forwarding matches on January 5th.
Well, I think the interesting thing is, I wonder if there actually is going to be a New Year's Dash. There might be something on the 6th. They might do a New Year's Dash on
the 6th. They could. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Maybe I'm just, overthinking it. But if I was betting, I think the 4th's the big show and the 5th, because of how it just is part of their tradition.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
But I've thought the same things as you are. I don't think you're off base. I totally could understand why the 5th should be the bigger show, because ultimately, why not get them into a new mindset and thinking that there's 2 big shows?
Right, and every year we're going to do 2 domes.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I agree with it.
All right, well, that wraps it up for the questions.
So let's get into the news and let's go through it super quick. So we've got quite a bit of, actually, it's been a pretty light news week, but New Japan news. So this past week, we talked a few weeks ago about how Bushi Road was going to be, doing an IPO. They officially listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, and part of that, Liger was the one who got to ring the bell to open up that market.
That broke at the end of the show last week, and we talked about that. So, yeah.
Really, really cool stuff. So, Liger got to do that. Also, Liger has had his first ever 0-1 match in history. He's never been, part of his retirement tour. He's been going to different companies, and he teamed with his bitter 90s rival, the Great Sasuke. He wrestled the team of Shinjiro Otani and Tetsuya Taikawa.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah. Is Taikawa's first name Tetsuya? I don't know. I remember Taikawa. He used to wear a mask, but he was from the Inokiism days. But, Liger had a match in 0-1, kind of a big deal. Also, there's a 2-part interview on NJPW 1972, interviewing with Naito. They talked to him about a myriad of subjects, talking about Shingo, talking about Moxley, Kenta's failures in WWE, the format of the G1, all sorts of things. So if you haven't checked out that 2-part interview, I would definitely say check it out. It's really good stuff. Such good shit. Also, this past week, the Destruction Tour poster came out, and interesting face was on there. Kenta.
Yeah, Kenta's featured on the Destruction Tour posters. So clearly it looks like he will be sticking around for at least the remainder of the year and will be a part of the Destruction Tour.
Also, we touched on it a little bit, but there was reports that came out this past week that there were quite a few angry and negative Japanese fan tweets against Kenta. And I mean, they were pretty ugly.
And a lot of it too was comments on YouTube underneath Kenta post-match promos. But,
they're going in on my dog.
Yeah, calling him Noah trash, and, why can't this Noah trash go back? And this guy is horrible. He's ruining the A block.
Yeah,
They pulled their Josh Smith and just went on a full rant on this, man.
Bro, you stole my joke. That was going to be my joke. But yeah, man, the Japanese fans, they ain't got no... I felt like it was like a freaking death row, like, Source Awards. Like, y'all ain't got love for Death Row? Y'all ain't got love for Kenta?
Nah, man.
The free match of the week this week is the match between Kazuchika Okada and Nakamura from G1 24, which there was a time, for those of you who are newer fans, you might not be aware of this, but Nakamura was the leader of Chaos, not Okada. And Okada was kind of like the co-leader, and he was the young ace underneath Nakamura. And this was a big deal at the time. This was the first of 2 singles matches between Okada and Nakamura. Okada ended up picking up the win, which propelled him to his big match with Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 9, which obviously is a huge history-making show. If you've never seen the series of matches between Okada and Nakamura, either this year or their other G1 match, I would say definitely go out of your way and watch those matches. But I think that they picked this match because of Nakamura's connection to Ibushi.
Yep, and they're getting ready to face each other.
Yep, and I think that that's why that they picked this match in particular. And it's a great selection for a match. Definitely go out of your way to watch that. We also had some Super J Cup participant announcements this past week. Taguchi, Ishimori, Bushi, and Yo were all announced for the show, which actually Taguchi, Ishimori, Bushi, Yo, so those 4 were all announced for the show, which obviously those are all New Japan mainstays, but we had a couple other surprise announcements. Caristico, for those of you who are not familiar, he's the original Mystico in Mexico, also the original Sin Cara in WWE, and one of the biggest Lucha Libre stars out there. He will be involved with the tournament. And then I know Jeremy was super stoked about this.
Dude, yes, the Amazing Red will be in the Super J Cup. We know we've had the teases of Red and Ospreay wanting to wrestle each other. Well, New Japan, picked up on that. We got our boy Amazing Red in the in the Super J Cup. And if you guys have never seen Amazing Red wrestle, go ahead, do yourself a favor, start Googling Amazing Red, watch all those great exhibition matches he was having at Impact, watch some of the Ring of Honor stuff if you can find it. This guy's incredible. A lot of the high-flying maneuvers that you see guys doing today came from Red. The code Red, that's from Amazing Red. That infrared spiral tap, Amazing Red. So many innovative moves. Red was ahead of his time, didn't get the credit that he deserved, and now he's finally going to be on a big spotlight and get a chance to shine.
Listen, when you listen to this podcast, not only are you dedicating 3 hours of your time to this podcast, depending on what speed you listen to it to, but you also need to listen to you need to go back and watch all the Amazing Red matches. You need to go back and watch our recommended matches of the week, the New Japan free matches of the week, and all the G1 matches. And if you're not doing that, then screw you guys. No, absolutely. Are we getting an Amazing Red and Ospreay finals?
I don't know if it'll be the finals, but I think we're definitely going to get it.
First round?
No,
if they're in the first round, then that's going to basically be like the Gargano Ciampa
Cruiserweight Classic.
I
hope
round
it's not the first
match.
round because I want multiple Amazing Red matches throughout this weekend. But
I think Amazing Red might just want one match, and he might just want
bump that. Sign that New Japan contract. You're going to be in Best of Super Juniors next year. You're going to get a junior title run. It's going to be great.
Okay, let's absolutely. So also. We talked last week about the Lowell, Massachusetts ticket sales. It seems like they actually got really close to selling out, and then New Japan tweeted out saying that they'd opened up even more seats. So if you're still looking, I think there's less than 100 seats left, so it's really close. But they opened up even more seats, so you still have an opportunity to go to that show if you're in the area. And then want to throw out a little bit of love. I haven't checked out this podcast yet, but it's on my list. And if you're listening, we are checking you out. The Yamabuchi Cast. I don't know much about this, but, for those of you who love New Japan Pro Wrestling, you need another New Japan podcast. Yamabuchi Cast has you covered. They're going to be a bi-weekly podcast. I know they're on Spotify. I don't know what other platforms they're on, but check those guys out. If they suck, I haven't listened to them yet. If they're great, then I recommended them to you first, and, all the love in the world. But no, seriously, I'm going to definitely check them out, and I want to see what's going on there. We got Ring of Honor news. So, a lot of speculations about the villain, Marty Scurll. When is his contract up? Nobody knows.
Dude, I tweeted out, Marty Scurll's contract status is like the greatest mystery in wrestling right now. At one point, it was April, then it was June, then it's September, October. Now we're hearing November.
Here's the thing. This past week, Sean Ross Sapp tweeted about it, and he was speculating. So I don't want you guys to think he said emphatically, but he said that he'd heard reports that it was going to be up in November. He was trying to get clarification on that. He did mention, though, that Dave Meltzer was saying that it was going to be in the fall. We don't know for sure, but it sounds like based on those ideas that we have a general idea that it's going to be late this year.
Yeah.
Which I gotta wonder, if Marty's contract is up in the fall, why the hell didn't he win in fucking Madison Square Garden?
He could have been the Ring of Honor champion the whole time.
Bro,
you build him up.
Fucking up.
You build him up, and then the guy you want to go over, you beat him on the way out.
Look at the houses they're drawing, and Marty could have been the champion.
Yeah.
Fuck, they're so stupid. And like, I'm just gonna say this right now. We went out. I'm not gonna say any names, but we went out to dinner with a prominent Ring of Honor wrestler's champion, or a prominent Ring of Honor wrestler's girlfriend, and somebody who may or may not have been a former champion in Ring of Honor. And they told us emphatically why we were wrong, because we were just simple marks, because of course they should have gone with Matt Taven. Look at the fucking business that they're doing right now. I just want to say right now that I'm not going to say your name, but you're wrong. In other news, Ring of Honor has announced their November Global Wars tour from November 6th to November 8th. But what's interesting this year, no New Japan. It is Ring of Honor and CMLL. Global Wars, what are they calling it? Estrella? No, not Estrella. It doesn't matter.
I forget now. But
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbario Cavanario is going to be there. A lot of other big CMLL names. So
I kind of want to check this out. But then again, I don't trust Ring of Honor right now.
Right. Knowing them, it'll be like Barbaro versus Matt Taven.
Oh, my God.
And he loses.
Yeah, so... but that might actually be cool, because we haven't seen too many of the CMLL guys get to work extensively with Ring of Honor talent. So this might actually kind of break the monotony of like the Ring of Honor New Japan tours. But yeah.
And real quick too, on Barbario Cavanario, on this show, we said WrestleMania weekend was going to be the breakout weekend for that man. He was going to start getting more U.S. bookings after that match with Dragon Lee, and that's what's happening. He's in Bola. Now he's going to be on this Ring of Honor tour here in the States. Get ready for more Cavanario.
Bro, how many years have I been on Cavanario?
For a long time.
For a long time. That's my dog. The Summer Supercard is coming up this weekend, August 9th. The card actually looks okay, although it's not what I envisioned when I imagined a quote-unquote Rev Pro, CMLL, Ring of Honor, NWA, and New Japan Supercard. It's kind of really just a Ring of Honor Supercard with a couple of random guys.
With one CMLL match and GOD representing New Japan.
Yeah, it's pretty much their Summer Supercard, quote-unquote. So it's basically just a Ring of Honor card. There was a report, though, this past week from the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Ring of Honor and New Japan are not splitting up. Listen, Ring of Honor, you're being battered. You're being abused. You need to have some self-respect and cut that abusive boyfriend loose. He's stealing all of your dates. He's he's getting all the benefit, and you're getting no benefit. Either that, or you need to tell him to shape up. Like, if you're Kerry Silkin, get some balls. Tell New Japan to give you an equal share in this partnership. And, well, get your shit together, Ring of Honor. Start booking better. Start like signing some better talent, cut the check, open the checkbooks, get a vision for your life. You need to work on yourself before you can love New Japan and the fans. You need to love yourself, Ring of Honor. And right now, it's very clear that you are in a deep and despairing place. You need to go seek some therapy, get some help, and then you need to focus on your relationship with New Japan, because you're getting fucked over, and they know it. You're the insecure girlfriend that they're keeping on the side, that they get all the benefit from. This needs to be more equal. You have so much potential, Ring of Honor, and you're fucking it up. You're fucking it up. But apparently they're not splitting up.
We'll see.
Yeah. And do you want to move on to other news? You don't have anything to say about that?
Not really. I mean, personally, I think that New Japan being in the Northeast, this coming tour, I think it's the first step of them stepping back from Ring of Honor. They're booking the same building and selling out when Ring of Honor can't. I think going forward in the future, we're going to see less New Japan and Ring of Honor co-branded tours. I think eventually you're going to get more New Japan tours in same cities that Ring of Honor runs, with New Japan running those tours by themselves. And it's going to be the start of New Japan being a standalone brand in the United States. No Ring of Honor, no AEW, just New Japan.
Yeah, I think the whole report from observers that Ring of Honor and New Japan are staying together is just fan service. I think the writing's on the wall. I think they're splitting.
Yeah.
In other news, the biggest news story of the week, by far, Harley Race is dead. And I was at work, and when I saw that Harley Race passed away, and I knew he was in bad health, and I knew that he had issues, I literally audibly shrieked. I was like, "Oh no!" And bro, I was so upset, and people around me thought something. They were like, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh my God, Harley Race died," and everyone around me was like, "What?" And I didn't even want to explain it to them, but bro, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts really bad. I feel really bad. I don't want to live in a world that Harley Race doesn't live in. I feel bad that Harley Race is not alive.
Yeah, it's definitely a big loss for the wrestling world, especially if you are a older wrestling fan, growing up on Harley Race and one of the top stars in the wrestling during his era. Personally, I'm about to be 30 in a couple of weeks, so honestly, I don't really have much experience watching Harley Race growing up. But I've seen clips and heard stories and read stuff about his great and excellent run, and it's definitely, we lost another good one.
A couple things I do want to say before we move on. Harley Race, I could go on for hours about Harley Race, to be honest with you. Growing up, we had a VHS tape that I would literally, maybe it's probably the main reason why I'm a wrestling fan, is that we had a tape called the Best of Starrcade 1983 to 1987. I watched this tape literally daily. So that meant almost every day while other kids my age were watching Aladdin and The Lion King and stuff like that, I was watching Harley Race defend the NWA title in a steel cage at the Greensboro Coliseum against Ric Flair daily. As I got older, and YouTube became a thing and the network became a thing, I've seen Harley Race. Now, Harley Race does not have a connection to New Japan, but with that being said, he's a 7-8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, depending on your record keeping.
Yeah.
One of the most believable promos there ever was. One of the most believable workers there ever was. Logical. Made sense. He made so many guys. His matches with Terry Funk, his matches with Dory Funk, the Briscoes, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Giant Baba, Jumbo. Most of his great work in Japan was done in All Japan as well as the JWA. But Harley Race is one of the all-time greatest champions that there ever was. Not only that, but one of my favorite promos, one of the most believable promos. Somebody who took the title very seriously. And then later in life, I still have the memories of his runs in WCW as a manager for Vader and for Lex Luger and guys like that. Not only that, but his matches with Hogan. I know we don't like to bring Hogan up on this podcast too much, but dude, his Texas Death matches with Hogan in '87, the freaking table spot from Saturday Night's Main Event where he literally went full ECW in '88 before no one else was doing table spots, and this dude was dropping on. He literally had to retire, but pretty much go into main fully. He still wrestled a few matches, but he's pretty much done as an in-ring performer because of the spot he did against Hogan in '88. His run in, the WWF as well. Harley Race is one of the greatest legends and one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived. And I was very, 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 very sad this probably is the most I've been hit by a wrestler death since Vader died. And, our thoughts go out to him and his family, and, it sucks. Yeah. In other news, outside of New Japan, so Defiant is closing. They announced over social media this week that the former What Culture Pro Wrestling is no longer in business. And I just want to ask, Pete Dunne, like, how is that WWE NXT UK helping the fucking UK scene? Because What Culture's gone, man. They're a big player. It's pretty crazy. Also, in other news, AEW announced their TV deal with. Well, they announced like when they're officially gonna launch. Their Wednesday night show for TNT in October. They also released the tickets for sale for that show, which is in a 14,000 seat arena in DC. They sold out in like under an hour.
I think it was like 2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
Because the system was crashing.
So AEW's a big fucking deal, and we're gonna keep our eye on this whole thing going on between AEW and WWE because it's gonna affect the rest of the wrestling world. It's pretty crazy. And then finally, I don't know if we talked about it, but a few weeks ago, Triple H was in Japan along with the WWE roster when they were doing their Japanese tour. And, there was mainstream media press that he met with, members of Stardom as well as the DDT rosters. But I've heard it on good authority that he met with literally any major Japanese pro-resu company that was willing to take the meeting, and from what I heard, almost all of them were.
Right. I mean, it's pretty much what we're seeing. What happened in the UK, they're trying to do the same thing in Japan. They want NXT Japan to open up, and
now I can't say this like officially, but like based on what we've heard, it sounds like they met with All Japan. They met with Noah. They met with Big Japan.
Dragon Gate.
They met with Dragon Gate. They met with Stardom.
Yeah.
And they have ties to Sendai Girl through Miko Satomura as well. So this is something to keep your eyes on. There are a lot of people who are always like, WWE will never make it in Japan because of the way business is done there. But man, Triple H taking meetings with all those companies over there. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And let's close out the show with the recommended match of the week.
Yeah, so before I give my recommended match of the week, we had a shout out from Kevin Crawford. He said the Hashimoto
my dog Kevin
Yamazaki finals was a great recommend. Love the elbow drop and brain buster. He said, what are some of your favorite G1 Climax final matches throughout the years, especially which of the older ones if possible?
Okay. Well, right off the top of my head, one that you've got to see if you've never seen it is the first one, Chono and Muto from 1991. If you've never seen it, it's one of the most classic moments, classic matches of the 90s for New Japan. It's probably one of the best heavyweight matches in New Japan, like 90s history. And the feeling and the emotion watching all those Sumo Hall wrestling fans throw their freaking cushions in the air in approval of the match. It's just such a magical moment. If you've never seen it, I really recommend that. What's a G1 final that you really like? I know that you probably have more modern ones.
I mean, obviously, last year Bushi and Tanahashi. If you haven't seen that, that was incredible. Was it Kenny and Naito?
Kenny and Naito's incredible. If you've never seen Nakamura and Tanahashi from 2015, I believe it is. Oh my God, such an incredible finale. That's one that I definitely recommend very, very, very highly.
The Kenny Goto.
Kenny Goto's great. Oh my God, Muto against from 2000. It's Muto and oh my God, who? I have to look it up. I have to look it up this moment because we can't go off the air without us mentioning it.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll give my official recommended match of the week. It is not a G1 final, but it is from the G1. It's from Night 8 of the G1 Climax 27, July 20.
Yuji Nagata versus Keiji Muto from the G1 finals in 2001. If you've never seen it, you got to see it.
G1 Climax 27, Night 8, July 27th. Satoshi Kojima taking on the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. This is prime heel Dick Okada against the Valiant legend Satoshi Kojima. The Wrestling Observer newsletter gave it 4 1/4. Y'all know how much I love Kojima, and I think this was a great matchup from the G1 27 to go ahead and check out if you haven't watched it already.
From 2 years ago?
Yep.
Keep in mind that it was Kojima's final. Well, we don't know for sure, but it feels
as
like,
of right now, yeah.
As of right now, it feels like that's his final run. And like everyone talked so highly about Nagata's run, but dude, Kojima's run during that like G1 was right up there with like Nagata's, and this was one of the best matches he had in that tournament. Yeah, I love this match.
And that's going to wrap things up for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of nights 15 through 19 of the G1 Climax, wrapping things up. So make sure you connect with us on social media, on Twitter. The show is at KI Strong Style. You can also follow us at Social Suplex. I'm at Jeremy L. Donovan. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Social Suplex. We are also in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circles. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, jeremy@socialsuplex.com. Make sure you check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. On Sundays, we have One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. On Wednesdays, we have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. Every other Wednesday, we have our podcast dedicated to independent wrestling, Grown Men Watch This Shit, hosted by Jeremy Tate and Chris Bryan. On Fridays, we have Get in the Ring with Danny and Mike. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr. and Amy Euler. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.